please.
Doesn't say you can.
Everybody ready for the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let the roll call show that all was present. Kind of the guest, please. Identify yourself. Jim?
I'm Jim Goers. A little bit further down on the agenda. So
Oh, yeah, I'm just asking you, let us know that you're here
I am.
for the public record.
How are you, Terry,
Thank you.
tonight?
Eddie Collins,
Gary Wise.
Jennifer Shannon,
Mary Lou Fullerton.
Maureen Fremont,
Brian Donahue. Well,
Harry Markle,
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for showing up. Public hearing, local government access to the credit union. We have a resolution in support of the submission of a House bill to the Wyoming legislature for local government access to the credit unions for the purpose of providing local access to financial institutions. Whereas the governing body for the town of Shoshoni supports the submission by Representative Lloyd Larson for the House bill in Wyoming legislature for the consideration of permitting access to local credit unions. Whereas the governing body of the town of Shoshoni recognized that Shoshoni and many other communities throughout the state of Wyoming are underserved by traditional financial institutions. And whereas the governing body for the town of Shoshoni recognized that local credit unions serve as the only available option for conducting financial business without daily travel to the nearest traditional bank for the purpose of financial transitions. And whereas the governing body for the town of Shoshoni also recognized that our credit unions are federally insured up to $250,000 for deposits contained within the financial institution. And now therefore, be it resolved by the governing body of the town of Shoshoni is in support of the submission by Representative Larson of the House bill granting the option for local communities to utilize local credit unions when no other option exists. Can I have a motion to approve that resolution?
I'm going to approve that resolution.
Second.
It's been moved and second that we approve resolution number 2009. Any further discussion?
I have contacted Ed Cooper, who running for state senate for area, and he said he would support this.
Yes. Any further discussion?
That's good.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same. Resolution passed. Resolution number 2008. A resolution authorizing submission of coronavirus relief grant application to the State Loan and Investment Board on behalf of the governing body of Shoshoni for the purpose of providing remodel of existing building into a medical clinic for the town of Shoshoni due to coronavirus or the COVID outbreak in Fremont County. Whereas the governing body of the town of Shoshoni desires to participate in the coronavirus relief grant CRG program to assist in the financing and implementation of medical clinic for the citizens of Shoshoni. Therefore request. Whereas the governing body for the town of Shoshoni recognizes the lack of access to healthcare professionals and facilities for the citizens of Shoshoni, further recognizing the population of Shoshoni as having a large proportion of elderly citizens unable to easily travel for healthcare. And whereas the governing body for the town of Shoshoni recognizes excessive travel further increases contracting the coronavirus and therefore impedes the ability of those citizens who can travel to do so in fear of additional exposure risk. And whereas the governing body for the town of Shoshoni has sought to and received a grant through the CRG in the amount of $254,902 to procure the existing building, including remodel and necessary medical equipment, provide a place of practice for healthcare professionals for the citizens of Shoshoni through Hot Springs County Hospital with the facilities equipped provided by the town of Shoshoni. Whereas the governing body of the town of Shoshoni recognizes the initial estimate bid for the remodel did not take into account unanticipated increases in supplies and labor required for remodeling exceeded the original estimate for $108,330. Whereas the governing body of the town of Shoshoni formally accepted a bid for Brink Construction August 25th, 2020 in the amount of $190,646. Whereas if any of the dispersed grant funds are later deemed not to comply with SLIB criteria or the criteria of the CARES Act, grant applicant agrees to repay the ineligible grant funds within 15 days of such finding to the Office of State Land and Investments. And now therefore it be resolved by the governing body of the town of Shoshoni that the grant application amount of $82,316 for additional costs associated with the remodel of existing building and medical clinic be submitted to the State Land and Investment Board for consideration of the next board meeting application process to assist in the coronavirus relief grant. Be it therefore resolved that Joel Heisman, Mayor, Bo Weaver, Mayor Pro Tem, and Christopher Kojai, City Clerk and Treasurer, are hereby designated as authorized representatives of the town of Shoshoni to act on behalf of the governing body on all matters related to this application. May I have a motion for resolution number 2008?
I so move a resolution 2008.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Any discussion? None being, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Has everybody had a chance to look at the bills?
Yeah, I got a couple of questions.
I'll join that.
So we had on there like the town hall mitigation and things like that. And I was thinking that was covered, so we had the grant for that, so does that mean that we're just, we're paying for it, but it was covered by the grant?
Yeah, we still have to pay it we still have to write checks to cover the expenses, but that's the GL coding that it goes to, which is then resubmitted back to SLIP reimbursement.
And, okay, so it's what we had previously discussed, that we will get reimbursed.
Correct.
Okay,
Just we pay for it first and then they
They-
reimburse us for
okay.
expenses.
I was just wanting to double verify on that.
Any other questions?
I move that we approve the bills from September 23rd through August 9th, 2020.
Been moved and second, we approve the bills. From September 23rd to October 9th, 2020. Been moved and second. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Everybody have a chance to review the minutes. September 22nd, 2020 meeting.
How do I-
Please take all the time you need to make sure that everything's good. No rush. Pat's in no hurry.
I read them on Sunday.
Yesterday.
And there was something, but I lost my notes. Now I'm remembering. Yeah, so just give me a second to find it.
Okay.
I lost my sheet of paper with my notes.
On that, where Councilman Zent moved to add the $10,000 line item. $145.
That wasn't just tobacco, it was greater, basically.
No, I know. I was, after that though. I was confused when it said Highsmith Weaver opposed and it said Blair and
Okay.
Stetler second.
It's just,
Should that have been?
it's order.
So the order needs to be changed.
Yeah,
Okay. That was the grader. Round grader.
yeah. Line item 145 covers graders, backhoes, county equipment for maintenance.
Are we doing just the first one or are we doing October 6th at the same time?
I won't stay from October 6th because I wasn't here, so I can't
Yeah.
say accurate or inaccurate.
So my correction is for October 6th.
Okay.
Where I made the motion to approve $3,500 for finance and asbestos inspection for older homes and derelict buildings. For the purposes of, we're missing the purpose of, can't remember the word I used, and it took me a while to remember, but it was for the purpose of future development.
There you
That
go.
was in the motion, and I would,
Correct.
the reason being is we're not just testing everything in town, we have plans for future development on certain things, so that's why we're testing certain things. So the motion was exactly that, for future development. Yeah, that was the only correction. So I would make a motion that we approve the minutes as amended.
I second.
Been moved in a second. We approved the minutes for September 27, 2020 and October 6, 2020 as amended. Any further discussion?
Yeah, we have 3 votes on this because I'm not here.
If we can. Can I have a motion to
I move that we approve the minutes of September 22nd, 2020 as amended.
Been moved and second to approve the minutes. September 20.
Or
September
23rd. Whatever.
22nd.
22nd, 2020. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion passed.
I would make a motion that we approve the minutes of October 6th, 2020 as amended.
Second.
Been moved and second, we approve the minutes of October 6th, 2020. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Consent count, Councilman Zant abstained because he was absent from the meeting. Building permits, High Country Construction.
I move that we accept High Country's 2 permits.
Second.
Been moved and second, approve the High Country Construction Building Permit. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Approved, thank you. Lowell Clausen, a business permit.
I move we approve the business permit for Lowell Clausen Plus Electric.
Second.
Been moved and second that we approve Lowell Clausen's business permit. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Approved. Our business license approved. We have a report for a presentation. Jim, are you here to do this instead of Terry?
Yeah.
I would guess.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. We met this.
Jim, could you please step, is that?
Yeah.
Could you, yes, thank you. Just in case we didn't pick up well.
I'll even sign in here. We just want to give you an update on where things stand with the water master plan, and give you some preliminary recommendations we'd like to offer. First of all, we met with Bud just before the council meeting to clear up some questions we had on the water mapping, and we'll get those made to the map and review them again with Bud and make sure that we're all looking at it the same way. We hand out a very brief little report here for each of you. Just take it. Yeah, I'll pass it.
Oh, okay.
But basically, we think a little over 40% complete on the project. And we're starting to fine tune some of the information we have. And then we would, in order to have more complete records in the future, we're making the recommendation that if there's any information that you folks have on the production of the wells from 2018 forward, that would be quite helpful to us. We don't know if those are available. I don't think so. We've gone through just about everything you have. to help determine whether you got leakage in the system, we strongly recommend that you read the meters year round. And that has been suspended from October to about April normally. And there was some concern that some of the lines, and I believe the service lines, perhaps are subject to freezing. We haven't found evidence that that's necessarily the case. So we suggest that keeping those lines read, or keeping those meters read through winter months for both the wells and the individual home meters gives us a comparison of one versus the other, and it'll give us a hint as to whether we've got leakage in the system. Right now, there's no way to determine. So that would help you folks going forward. It won't necessarily answer the questions that we have for this master plan effort. But anyway, that is a recommendation that we make, that you implement, just adopt that as a policy. Also, on well number 6, which is the one closest to your tank, that is producing gas along with water, and we're suspicious that gas entering into the system is kind of creating a piston that can be pushed back and forth and perhaps cause a water hammer in the line, which is nothing more than a serious pressure surge. And that might explain, or may lead to somewhat of an explanation of why that line repeatedly seems to break from the well number 6 up to the tank. You don't have those problems elsewhere in that transmission line. So we're continuing to investigate that and see if we can come to a better conclusion than we have right now. So we'll keep you abreast of that. Just kind of something fun and interesting. We went out with a unit called a SLAM technology. It's a LiDAR unit that's handheld, and when we ran that through each of the well houses, and I'll give you a set of that you maybe off, share. Oh, first one there, that first picture, in spite of that is not a photograph. That is a CAD image generated from LiDAR data, which is nothing more than light emission from a handheld unit. But all of the dimensions on there are accurate. So that gives you basically a record drawing of the site true to dimensions. And if you go to the second sheet, you can see that the power line shows up. And all of this took about 20 minutes of time on the site is all. And you can see the depth of the valve pit next to the well house, and the width, height, length, and all of that. You can measure the distance if you care to up to the power line feeding the well. And on the last sheet, you can see a slice through the building that shows the height of the radio tower that has your SCADA system tied in, as well as the panels on the back of the well house, and all of those are true dimensions. So that's the technology that we weren't scheduled to use, but we had it available, so we used it. So we'll get that cleaned up a little bit more, but that'll go in the master plan. So what questions would you have for us?
Got a question. Well number 6.
Yes.
You You anticipate you're gonna recommend that we abandon that well?
No, not at all.
How do you,
We'll look at different options of how to handle that entrained gas and
because it
get,
can cause hammering because you got different density of fluids.
yes,
The gas-
and it can,
Yeah, it
right.
can. Yeah, I'm aware of it.
And, yeah, I figured you were.
Uh-huh.
But we'll try and find solutions to that. I don't, from a production standpoint, you really don't want to lose the production of that well.
Mhm.
And the water quality isn't as good as number 2 out there next to the lake, but it's good. It's a good serviceable well in that sense. And let's see if we can't find a solution to that mixed fluid and get rid of that, perhaps vent it some way and
Sort of a
get it out
scrubber
of
of
there.
some sort.
Yeah. Once it gets to the base of the hill and up to the tank, I think the problem solves itself because that gas won't remain
Right.
entrained once it gets open to the atmosphere as it does in the open tank. But let us keep working on that and see if we can't come up with a solution. We're at this point just suspicious that mixed fluid is part of what's causing that line to repeatedly break out there. And all of you know how much Bud and the staff enjoy going out there in March in the mud and the freeze and try and dig up that line and repair it. So let us keep working on how to get rid of that problem. And Mayor, anything you've seen working in the past with your background, why, let's bring that into the discussion too.
Okay.
So anyway, anything else that we can brief you on here this evening? Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Hello, City Council. My name is Brian Donahue. I know we're upgrading to a new park and all that stuff. I wanted to make it aware to everybody that my dad has it's not really a tree farm, but my dad grew a lot of trees. We have some of the most beautiful Colorado blue spruce trees, 8-10 footers. I didn't know when you guys would like take a look at it or anything, so I didn't really take any good pictures or anything. We would offer them to the city at fair price. We have all the equipment. We could move the trees to the park. We would actually probably guarantee, the trees for a fair amount of time. The trees are all locally grown, so they're acclimated to our altitude and our weather here. I just wanted to make sure that, we'd like a chance to, help the city out too.
Are they growing out in the desert?
Yes.
I appreciate that. We just planted 5 trees. And we're definitely gonna need more. Be very interested in that person myself. Like to maybe look into a little more if you could get a sort of a presentation, if you will.
Yes, sir.
Into town hall, so we can review it.
Sure.
I'd appreciate it, you bet.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure you guys was aware, and I mean, it would be an opportunity. You'd probably save money. I know trees ain't cheap.
Mhm.
And a lot of trees that you buy, they come from a whole nother state. So you have a hard time getting them to start and keeping them growing. And I don't know when you guys will have like your water and stuff. The tree has to go into a dormant state anyway before you move it, or you'll just kill the tree. It'll just keep dying. So once it frosts and the tree goes dormant, then we can move it.
Yep. We
We have equipment. We have a tree spade. We can move trees. We have a bobcat with a tree spade on it, all that. And I would put that on the proposal, what it cost to move and plant the trees, because we'd have to come and dig the holes and then go
pluck the tree and then put it in the hole that we dug with the spade, so it takes off better. I would even help Buddy or the city guys, make sure they had all the proper stuff. That way the trees take off good and set in good. The Colorado blue spruce we have from 7 foot to 12 foot. I know they would be beautiful around the fire pit area because it'd be a good decorative tree. It wouldn't overgrow too fast. It would take many, many years before it grew into the structure that was built. So, I mean, it would be a perfect tree. I could even draw something up if I get with Buddy or Chris or somebody, how you're laying it out. I did landscaping. There's been arborists in our family for 40 years, American Tree Service, American Landscaping. So if you guys are interested, I'll drop a proposal and I'll drop it off down here.
What's the availability on the tree?
Anytime, but we need to let the trees go dormant before we move them. That way we know we're ensured that they're gonna grow.
And we just, the trees we put in there, that's exactly, we waited till now to
Yep.
plant them. For
Well,
the same reason.
A lot of times if you use a huge tree spade, then it's not as bad. But like a 10-foot tree, I mean, our tree spade's probably, I don't know, 48 inches around, something like that. So it'd be good holes. And I could get, like I said, I could get with Buddy or Chris and they could draw, the fire pit area, and we would even be interested, if you guys are interested, we would bring a tree over and plant it so you guys could see. I mean, I'll get pictures drawn up, all that. I mean, you don't even have to keep the tree or whatever. That way you guys know the quality of the trees, and they're beautiful. They're like some of the most beautiful Colorado blue spruce I've seen anywhere. So
What's the, if you're planting them when they're dormant like that, if they don't come in the spring, obviously you.
we would guarantee, we would give a fair amount of time that if the tree died, then we would bring another one. That way, we'd make it fair on everybody too. I live here in town, and I don't know, at first when I seen the park going up, I was like, what the crap, and then I see people down there with their headlights on the basketball court, and there's 10 people playing basketball, and the fire pit, it looks great. It definitely looks great. So I just thought I'd bring it to your attention. The next city council meeting, I'll bring a full proposal, prices, all that. I can drop a proposal off with you guys down here at any time.
Yeah,
So-
that'd be the best. Bring it to town hall, and so we can review it. And
Yep.
we can look at it. We gotta look at it. We gotta see if we have the funding.
Yes, sir.
For one thing,
Yep.
that's one of the options. We gotta look at it, look at the cost, and
Yep.
but I'd love to look at your proposal and we'll see what we can do.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. And I hate to cut and run, but I have help me hanging in my garage that I gotta deal with, so.
You bet.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming, Brian. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too. Thank you.
Have a good night, everyone. Yeah.
Any other citizens have anything to bring up? That's unfinished business. Waste management contract, the last regular council meeting was brought up.
Yeah, we don't have any stipulations on a contract with waste management for our trash collection for the town of Shoshoni. Initially, we entered into the contract with that sea service with them. Stipulation of contract for our trash collection services.
Only place that the waste management collect trash, different sites.
From the rest area, as well as all the city trash. We have the trash receptacles we have, all the senior housing. And the seniors.
library or anything like that, police department?
No, we take our trash to the city yard.
Okay, so that's considered a site. Correct. So take the 4 sites.
Basically. Buddy, I don't know, is there another one I'm missing?
We actually, on the east part, trash gathered up there and it's also taken to the city yard, the dumpster that we have there. So as far as I know, there's the one at city yard, senior center, I guess the senior hall, so 3.
Why not? Or the rest area?
No. we-
No, the rest here, they move, they haul
Yeah, when we make our own, we pick up the trash, we haul it to the yard. There's only 3.
it. Then just whenever we occasionally need trash hauled, when we did the cleanups and stuff like that, do they typically do that too? or get-
Yeah, that's, they hired full bring the roll offs and the big one. Wow, those-
I think we put this out to bid. the Community, to what, bring it lower price?
How many? How many? I guess, how many companies do we have in the area that hauls trash in our area?
I know 2, so it's still competition. And let our local community have the opportunity to say, hey, I want this village to say, I would like to have an opportunity to have the town's business. If they meet the lowest bid, fine. If they don't, fine. It's that company's choice to bid or not to bid. It won't hurt anything.
Do you feel that the bid should be let on just at the lowest cost?
Whatever priority would you have, frequency. That'd be 1, twice a week, once a week. Or is that what you're talking about? Other,
Well, several things I think we ought to take in consideration. One being equipment. I think we should have good equipment, dependability. I believe to have the company has the ability to do a good job, and company that has ethics and does things the right way, I believe is important also. That should be considered. Would that be,
your answer makes sense.
that makes sense?
So would you include frequency, once a week, twice a week as well?
Yes, in the pricing.
So those are things that you would list in the bid requirements.
But I guess my concern is I only know one company that meets those requirements in our area.
Which requirement? I'm confused here. Unless, I don't know each of these companies' status. So I can't answer that. I've dealt a lot with Fremont County Solid Waste. And it was brought to our attention, we've had issues that they were maybe disgruntled that we were using hopper metal. Since this is brought up, I just did some research, and it's
it's, what I found is all public record, but Hopper Metals has a fairly substantial history with running afoul with the Department of Environmental Quality. And at Hopper Metals site within the city limits of Shoshoni even. I question whether we can be able to do business with Hopper Metals because of that. So like I said, I did some research and got online, and it's a public record and looked at, because I've been told similar things, so I looked it up myself. And I just have some real issues. I found documentation since 2015. Issues, run-ins with the DEQ, here's a letter from the Fremont County Commissioner. Because Mike Dimick and Hopper Metals have flagrant disregard for the rules and regulations set forth by the DEQ and the EPA as set forth in the notice of violation, we that we shouldn't do business with, that was on a permit application. Docket number 5716-16, Board of Commissioners hereby submitting the written notice of objection of proposed site. There's 2017 encloses a notice of violation, Wyoming solid waste regulations. Due to the seriousness of these violations, the department is issuing notice of violations and plans referral to the Attorney General. There's a 24 item. Hear the notice of violation. It goes to 20. It describes the violations. It just back in November, back in 2015. This is 16. It says on multiplications. This is addressed to Mr. Dimick. You and your company has failed to comply with secure load policy and other locations. The rule, as a board member, and it also states district staff you try to use your position as a board member to get around requirements to comply with secure loads of Shoshoni. This is all public record. It's Mike there again. Mike was removed from the board, from the solid waste board. The reason was given due to conflicts of interest. I see a pattern that's been going on for years of the same thing. I met today with Charles, I forget his last name, with the DEQ, that's been an investigator on most of this. And it's just been an ongoing thing. Mike's seemed to be disregard of the law and the violations. They just keep one after another. Mike admitted in one of his violations, and he's honest about that. He's not hiding that. It was burning trash out, illegally burning trash within the city limits of Shoshoni at his facility. And why doing it? To decrease the weight of load, so when he goes across the scale, he doesn't have to pay as much. He did not deny
Are
it.
you done? Are you done dragging me through the mud? I think you should stop. This is highly inappropriate. So as you're going through those things, the one thing you haven't said is that we went through this with the Attorney General and we won. Everything was approved. So all this crap that you're trying to throw at me. we did went to
Anything
court.
I said here, not true.
Yes, plenty is not true. So let me let the audience know what this is about. I have a permitted transfer station in Riverton. And when I put in for that permit, Wyoming Waste fought against me, Fremont County Solid Waste fought against me, and not so much the commissioners, but everybody fought against me. And that was fine. That was their right to put up public notice. That's what we did. So there was enough concern. We went to court over that with the Attorney General of Wyoming. And from that, they said we met all of our qualifications. We met everything that DEQ required of us, and we were granted that permit. So since that date, there's not been a single violation gone forward. In regards to the stuff, the trash burning was not done by my own self. Me personally, I did not burn it. We had a worker at the yard who did. I took accountability for it. I paid the fine. I wasn't the one that did it, but I took accountability. The other NOV, so I have that NOV against me. The other NOV was we put in a truck scale in Riverton. We started laying the concrete, and one of the DEQ representatives made a point to show up to our hearing and said, look, everybody, look at this criminal. He poured concrete. He started construction before he had a permit. That was it. We have our permits. We have all of our compliance with the state of Wyoming. Stuff that you're reading all comes from one instance at that point. When you look at other things, you want to talk about Fremont County Solid Waste. Yes, there was a time I went in without a tarp on my load. That's what they cited me for. I hope everybody here has never had an unsecure load. That was my violation. My conflict of interest with the county at the time, I didn't do garbage. They decided I was too much of a threat to them, and so they did. They asked me to fired me, I guess, from a volunteer position, and that was their choice. Now, you brought up something about my equipment. My equipment is newer than the town's equipment, if we're comparing stuff. Just a side note, my trucks are newer, my equipment, I have newer grader, newer loaders, newer et cetera. So I don't think you'd cite me on what the level of my equipment is. Dependability, there's an awful lot of people in here that are our customers.
What I just said, what isn't true? What is not true?
It's how you're
What
presenting
what the
it.
DEQ is put in here.
Do you have anything from Waste Connection that shows that people have died on the job? Where's Waste Connection dirty laundry? Do you have that?
My
I mean, can you answer
my
that?
contact with the DEQ is are they in compliance with the DEQ regulations? They said yes. Do they do by the book? They said yes.
Well, that's not what you said
Do
5
they-
minutes ago.
No, I did. Do they do it? Yes, they do. They
You know,
do it.
I'll let you know the town of Shoshoni has a stockpile of electronic waste over there. That's illegal, just so you're aware of it. You know, your tire compliance.
Are you
is
going to
probably
try to
not-
blackmail the town of Shoshone?
Oh,
again?
absolutely not. No, but I don't appreciate being in the audience when someone presents an opportunity for the town to save money, and you've got a whole list of stuff of why I shouldn't even be considered for the job. He's talking about pricing, he's talking about ethics. I believe that he's on track to present this to whoever in the world wants to bid on it.
I don't feel we should. And I asked Councilman Zant if ethics and stuff should be considered, you know.
So let me answer this question. Has all the violations that are on that paper in front of you been taken care of? And when was the last violation?
The last known violation was probably 2017
Nearly, we'll say 3 years ago.
or 2 years ago.
17, 20 is 3 years ago, by my belief.
We taught math in Shoshone. You should probably know.
Yes. So, the last 3 years, you can say your record is clear. There's no violation, and the state attorney general approved, and all those violations have been eliminated.
Well, the approval, I would suggest people look at the whole document. This is just, it's voluminous. If you read the Attorney General's opinion on what this is about. And I would really suggest that people get online and review it and read the whole document.
They ought to read the whole doc. Proof's in the pudding. The
Agreed.
attorney's the one who stamped it and said, here you go. Congratulations, you did a good job. So
No, that
everybody
isn't,
knows
no,
that this
that
all
isn't
comes
what
down
they
to.
said. No, that isn't what they said.
This was all about money. The whole issue was, we had found a way to make garbage service more affordable for Fremont County. That's been my goal from day one. It's not about cutthroat. It's saying, how can people have cheaper garbage service? And so we found other landfills around us and said, we will take that waste. And those were the avenues that we explored. Fremont County had an option to do these same things that I did, and I just found ways to make it work. So you guys can pay less for your garbage bill. And Fremont County said, if you do that, every ton you take out of this county is $80 we don't get. And so they tried to strong arm me and force me into, you can't do that. Well, unless you have this waste or this waste, then you can do something else. But it was all about the dollars and cents. And I said, I will meet compliance. And if the state says it's okay, then God bless me for being in the private sector. And that's been the argument. It's not about anything other than the dollars and cents of it. That's the issue.
I move that the town puts out the waste management for contract. Based upon price and frequency.
Price and frequency only.
That is correct. You may have done that if you wish.
I think if you choose to amend that, as much as you all might not like me, if Waste Connections has to put up their record against me as well, if they've had any deaths in their company, maybe they have, maybe they haven't. But you're talking about a global leader. What Bob is talking about is someone who's saying, what can we do on the local level? I might be more expensive. If I'm more expensive, then by all means, I'm not going to win. Maybe there's somebody else who wants to start up a garbage company. But the point is, if we're looking at how do we save money for the town, that's what we're talking about. And I believe you could ask anybody in the audience, we have a few here, you can ask about our service. You can ask people if they're ever missed. You can ask people where we stand, if their prices are good. So when it comes to the ethics, when it comes to what we represent, I believe that we are very good at what we do. We are very fair at what we do. And I stand behind my crew 100% with how they do it.
I'm a customer from Fremont County Waste. I'm just gonna stand up and say this. I did go in because my bill kept rising. And I'm like, you know what? I live in Shoshoni. There is a trash disposal place here that as a local business, I would like to support. And they're like, well, you can't get out of your contract. I did call Mike. I said, what do I do? How can I help with our town of Shoshoni as businesses in Shoshoni? And they're like, well, you have to pay over $200 to end my contract. And I said, well, I don't have that type of funds at the moment. And they're like, well, how much is he offering for your services? And I said, $25 a month. Wyoming Waste did end up saying, you know what? If that's what you're being charged through Shoshoni, which is, I was up to $80 a month with Fremont County Waste or whatever they are. And I told them by January, I will be ending my contract with them and going with him. But they have put my contract in as $25 a month until January. So I didn't go straight to him. That's my thought.
I'm reading this. The department has reportedly notified Hopper Metals and Mr. Demick of the rules. Mr. Demick receives economic benefit from his non-compliance. That's why he can do it cheaper. Due to the failure to comply to correct violations after multiple notifications, the Solid Waste and Hazardous Waste Division and Air Quality Division plan to seek penalty and voluntary settlement of violations. I mean,
So what are they
You're
talking about,
gonna
Joel?
nail that, Joel.
What are they talking about? Sorry to cut you off, but if you're reading something, so everybody can understand, what are you reading?
A memorandum
And what is it about? What's the waste they're talking about if you know what's going on so well?
is January 9th, 2017. There's a list starting November 2nd, 2016, November 3rd, November 24th.
So everybody can understand, there's one person who doesn't like me, so you have to remember, all this crap was available when we went to court. So one person's gone through and he compiled everything. So some examples were, when I started doing tire recycling, he hates tires. They absolutely hate tires. I said, you know, we have a tire grader, this is what we do, blah, blah, blah. So he comes in and said, well, you might have more than 1,000 tires today. I said, well, the landfill's not open until next week, so we'll get that taken care of. So these are those things when they talk about flagrant. I mean, that's the crap that you're reading about that doesn't say what the whole picture is. It's not like we're hiding dead bodies in the trash cans or something.
Is Charles Plymale, does he harbors anything against you? He's a DEQ.
You would have to, the world would have to decide, because he is the only person that has done any violation. And I've dealt with everybody from Casper, to the Lander offices, to the Attorney General. That is the only person in the world that has written me up. And I will
What
have
about
you know,
Bob Brewer, Casper?
we've not had any interactions, nothing negative.
I know one time I took some garbage over to Fremont because I was told that it was cheaper to take garbage over there and dump it. The first question that they asked me was if it had anything to do with our metal. And if it was, they would not allow it to be dumped there.
So
I don't know what,
we should
God
even
had
that
to
out.
do it.
They're a
I
fantastic
mean that-
customer for us. The town of Fremont is a fantastic customer for us. We provide roll-off service to them to process their tires. We provide services for the Gillette landfill. We provide services for the Buffalo landfill. We used to do services for Fremont County landfill. We do services for Casper landfill.
why would they say that?
Oh, you have to ask the who. Fred Crosby is the,
That was the guy that was working out at the dump.
couldn't tell you, maybe he has a great contact Fred
Mhm.
Crosby from the town of Fremont and ask him. He's who we deal with, and he's the one that says, we love your services. They did a tire shred last year for $80,000. We did the same job this year for $7,800. $80,000 they paid North Dakota. We did it for $7,800. Same job.
Mayor, I have a question. With the research you have compiled here, and it looks like you've done some time into it. So have you also done research into Wyoming waste?
I looked at this Friday because I've had reports of stuff, so I investigated, so I pulled this up. I did talk with the DEQ, and they told me the Wyoming waste operation out of Riverton, Wyoming, it had no violations or no problem. I did ask them, that's what I told. You get this, I pulled this up by just putting in Hopper Metals DEQ, and it popped up, it populated my computer. I mean, it didn't take a rocket science. I just put that in. I've heard accusations,
Well, I hate to
and
break it to you.
I wanted some evidence.
The other good news is, you're talking about the scrap metal company, and Hopper Disposal has a perfect slate. Just telling you. So in fairness, when you talk about companies, you're talking about my company. Everybody groups me into the Hopper world. And so there again, you looked at Wyoming Waste in Riverton, Wyoming, but they're in global, it's Waste Connections. So you have to look at Waste Connections as a whole, which means you got to go across the entire globe and see if they have any violations, if they have any issues. That's apples to apples. I'm just this little speck in the universe, but I'm the company, and that's your company. I understand you don't like me, and I think that's
That
proof enough.
has nothing to do with
Well,
it.
it's like she said, you got a stack of stuff against me. You took the effort to make sure of that, but there's nothing.
Well, this took very little effort. I mean, this took very
There's
little.
not much out there. You got one stack from one incident.
Well, I got a lot more. If I wanted to, a couple things I wanted to highlight. I didn't want to go through everything. But I suggest people look at that and make up their mind. I just question whether it's a town, if we should support business that's conducting illegal business inside our city limits.
You miss. If you're going to say that I'm illegal, you need to make sure everybody else that's ever burned garbage in this town is on the chopping block like I am. We can do a little walkthrough and we can see the neighbors that burn garbage in this town.
Well, no, they're not out business, doing business, hauling garbage for business, get paid for that.
And so
You're charging customers for a service, and it may be less, it may be not, but the service is to have it properly disposed of, and that doesn't meet DEQ guidelines.
let me give you an example if you want to throw mud at me, just so you're aware. When you guys tore down the B&B over here, when the town tore down B&B, they hired me to haul that crap over there, asbestos and all. And I confronted the people about it. I said, I'll bet this has got stuff in it. We're not going to test it. And so we hauled that crap over here as a favor for the town. And I said, if DEQ ever gets a hold of this stuff, it's just going to be a nightmare. So when we talk about ethics, the town of Shoshoni led the pack. And for my 10 years that I've been in business in Shoshoni, Wyoming, to have one violation, I think says something about that.
But you said you hauled that and you believed it had asbestos?
Yes, sir. Because the town, I told them, if you test this, because you demoed the entire building, every ounce of that has to go to landfill. Every ounce of it, not the little bit of asbestos, because the entire rubble is considered contaminated. And if it was friable asbestos, it meant going to Worland or going to Catskill at 100, 120 bucks a ton. If it was non-friable, it could go here at, I think the rate was 50 or 60 a ton. Regardless, I did as I was asked to do, and I set it over there. I didn't burn it, I didn't bury it. And I know when you guys cut my bid out last time to do that little job, I chose not to have the pile tested then either. And I didn't say anything about it because I knew the cost of what it would cost the town to do that. So maybe I'm in violation of my own ethics saying, gosh, maybe I made a bad choice. But that pile over there would have probably ran 20,000 bucks, what I figured, if it had to go out of county.
No, I had no knowledge it had any asbestos.
Not saying you did. But I'm telling you, with my violation on there was the equivalent of 300 or 400 pounds of garbage. Of thousands of tons that we've hauled, the thousands of tons that we've recycled. So to tar and feather me over a few hundred pounds of garbage, I didn't like that fire. I took accountability because it was on my property. I took that. And I paid that bill of $3,500.
Why did you tell the DEQ you hauled it to save money?
Because it's the same thing you guys do.
Well, I mean, you were honest about it, but at 300 or 400 pounds, that doesn't save you enough money to.
So I didn't do the job.
I mean, out there when
It's
they
somebody
when they gave you a citation for it, you explained to Charles that you was burning it to save money. They came once, they came again. There was more after the first notice. There was they said the rubble pile had increased to the burn pile, and confronted. You didn't deny you did it. You said, yeah, I did it, but we did it to save money because the waste when you go through there, you pay by the
pound.
Yeah.
So an employee stepped up and said, maybe I can save the boss a little bit of money. It cost me dearly. And that's the name.
Hindsight, you probably what you should have told the DEQ and said, I did it.
But I didn't do it. The question was, did Mike Dimmitt do it? I said, no, I didn't do it.
Not according to the documentation that I have.
Well, I'm not excited.
Okay, yeah. Anyway, I truly question a string of events, but it appears Hopper Metals has not paid close attention to the law. That's even similar to the reason you can't live outside the city limits, be a city councilman, because we can't make an exemption for a.
I don't
a
live out of
councilman.
town limits still.
I know, but when the question was about the new house you're building, you said maybe we can make an exception like we do for employees or certain police officers. But and by our city ordinance, we can make an exception if we choose to.
If we
For our
choose
city
to.
councilman, we do not have that. We do not have that option.
So, my question, you have two companies, one for metal and
Offer disposal.
disposal. What this item, unfinished A is under offer disposal, correct? Versus offer metal.
Violations that I would receive were given to Hopper Metals because Hopper Metals owns that facility.
Okay,
But
so wait a minute. So we're talking about garbage pickup, not is site in town by the railroad tracks. We're talking about going around town, picking up garbage. Town has 3 sites. So I've seen 2 items here. One, you are talking about Hopper Metal, which would not bid for the town's business. Is that correct, Mike?
That is correct.
Is that owned by someone else?
It's owned by him. 2 different
Okay.
companies though.
Oh,
Hopper Metal.
like having 2 checking accounts. I got
That's right. And my question, do you have any violations for your disposal?
Hopper Metals does not have a permit or license to store or burn trash that Hopper Metals was doing. The trash came from Hopper Disposal, not Hopper Metals. The 2 are
Is that should be-
intertwined. Yes, the two are intertwined. And even in one of the documents, I don't have that here, that was even brought up. That Hopper Metals, Hopper Disposal, there even looks, the parents, and they're trying to hide one from the other because there was
Why don't we look at the
violations here,
bigger
but it was
picture?
all there. And I just suggest people get online and look that up and read it, make up their own mind. What I would suggest.
But I made a motion. Is there a second?
I'd like to make a motion that we table this. I'd like to do more research.
I would too.
Second.
Been moved and second that we table this for time being and do more research. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
Hey, Joel, can I get a copy of all that from you?
Yes. Anybody, I'll make a copy, I'll make a copy available for all the council.
Thank you.
But I didn't copy everything, I just copied some of the higher notes. But there's quite a bit,
I didn't get
a lot of reading.
okay
a lot of
blocks
reading.
off there so you can see it all. Can you? Or not? The okay on the, it says under the
The employee wellness,
open the mic. If we push okay, will that just disappear that or would it turn the mic on? Well, that's why I was scared to do it again. Thank you.
I believe what we're looking at is all federal law, but I believe that the federal law expires December 31st. Is that correct, Chris? Correct. What we would suggest, we think there's a good chance COVID's gonna go past December 31st and be with us for a while. What we're suggesting that we make this our town policy, as long as the, you know, yeah, the coronavirus sick leave, into where it's not an issue more than just a normal flu, but I think because we're forced, if we have someone that has COVID symptoms, to send them home. And this would help with that. We're treating it different than the common cold or the flu or for other things. So, like I said, this is federal law right now, but it ends December 31st. If someone has COVID symptoms January 4th, we would still like to still provide that. And that's why we'd like to bring this up. Are you suggesting, Chris, that we add this to our policy book or employee handbook? Or?
That'd be an amendment to the policy handbook under the sick leave policy.
Okay.
In
addition to what we already have.
So we would need to, that's, well, whoever.
This isn't an ordinance, so we don't have to, it's just a policy.
Right, so that would just be in there until it's readdressed. Is,
Yes.
supposing this passes as an amendment to the current sick leave policy, it would remain in there until it is addressed again.
Yes, it'd stay there until some future council decides it's not needed anymore, then it can be
removed.
just as easily removed as it was.
And I did do some reading up on that as well. I got directed there. Actually, Monica directed me in that direction. And she also did a bunch of research on the testing. I don't know if you guys, did she share that with you guys at all? About the different options for testing?
Yeah.
I mean, which you can't mandate that in the policy. I just wondering if that.
Is that beyond where the night she was here at?
Yeah.
She found out more
She
stuff.
shared with us that, like Thermop has the Hot Springs County Hospital Wellness Center, or whatever it is. It's like a day and a half turnaround. They have the quick test. But then if you go to Western Family, you have to have two negatives that take you 3 days at least each before they consider you cleared. There's a whole list of deals on that, but I read up on all that online too. So I'd make a motion that we adopt this into our sickness policy, or amend our sickness policy to include this.
A second.
Been moved and second to approve the coronavirus sick leave to our employee handbook sick leave. Any further discussion? None being all in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay.
What happens if a new virus shows up? Can we just make this inclusive, saying or any other virus that is similar to this? I mean, instead of having to rewrite it all the time, and just, I mean, what happens if a new virus shows up 3 years from now?
It'll be 4 years, but.
Okay.
We don't want to worry about it then.
I'd hate to leave it open-ended, because if you read it, that's a lot of sick time.
Mhm.
I know what I would be doing in October if my employer had this policy.
Okay, I understand your saying.
There goes your ethics.
Well, actually, this is federal law. My employer does have this policy. I just can't take advantage of it. It's wrong. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I would fear that if we left it open-ended, it would be taken advantage of. That's my concern.
This would deal with what we got right now. We leave this open. There's something else that hits us like this, we can deal with them or whoever's here. Any more discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's passed. Thank you. So I'll get back to my
Windows to the right.
Talk about road grader a little bit. What did you or Buddy have something you want to bring up with that, Chris?
I hear what Joel would ask or road grader.
Road grader?
Well, we done some looking and we'd actually found one. It's right outside of Billings, Montana. It's a 2000 Caterpillar 160H motor grader for $58,500. So what just kind of, I was watching what motor graders were going for, come across this, and I got thinking, I mean, we got a price on fixing our John Deere through Honan out of Casper. And my feelings was if we haul the darn thing all the way down there, you just go have them go through all of it, because they could fix the engine. Of course, all equipment's got hydraulic leaks, but the hoses on that are pretty warm. It's an old piece of equipment. So I thought, well, get a price included with going through the hydraulics, which it came to $45,000. So, like I said, and then come across this, $58,500 for a 2000, and the John Deere that we have is I want to say it's like an 89. So it's quite an old.
Or even older.
Right.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I'd bring this to you guys and see, what you thought about that. I mean, it's not, if we was to get the okay, at least go up there and look at the equipment. I mean, I don't believe buying it sight unseen, but, it's a step to get a blade to replace our one we got in the yard. It's just yard ornament right now,
That's quite a bit bigger blade.
It's got it's both of them are a 14-foot moldboard blade. The John Deere that we have over there's a 14-foot too, and this one is too. But
35% more horsepower.
right,
And it weighs quite a bit more.
right,
Bigger blade.
bigger blade.
Yeah.
And that's
I mean,
actually,
it's bigger.
with
bigger
the
piece.
little motor grader we got. I mean, I can spin the wheel off that thing before I build a move a foot with that thing in the roads we got now. They're so dry. It's just, and I don't know. Did you guys get copies of these?
It's right here.
Oh. Forgot about them, sorry. I was like, huh?
That's
Okay.
the copies.
So, and I mean, with going through the pictures, actually, I mean, the interior kind of surprised me,
Yeah.
What did you have? 16,543 hours. Front tires like new, rear tires at 40%, which there goes in another thing with the John Deere we got right now, them tires are shot, so, and they're expensive too. So, I thought I'd throw that at you guys, see what you thought,
What do they have for a service record on?
I haven't even called the guy or nothing. We just got one on, I forget the site that we went, that we've been watching. Blades coming out, kind of pricing. And this was a fairly cheap one. I've seen for the condition and thing.
Yeah, it looks really good.
So I don't know. But yeah, I haven't even called the guy or anything. Just would touch base with you guys before
I'd say definitely call them, and then that'd be a good question, obviously.
He does have his contact information. It was 2 months ago that he posted this. So
So that's good too.
Do you happen to know what the average engine life is on one of those? 'Cause I
I
mean,
really wouldn't
Getting
know.
close to 20,000 hours. Is that what you're thinking?
well, I mean, if you take 16,520 hours times an average of 60 miles an hour, that's 991,200 miles to put it in perspective. I mean, that's my concern that we got it here in a blue.
Right.
But I know you get looking at these a lot. I was just curious what the average service life
I know a lot of equipment, 20,000 hours is it's
About
an
it.
issue.
That's my one concern.
That was
is
my
the
concern
hours.
when I seen it too.
You know, like I said,
Sorry to put you on.
no,
spot
no,
like that.
I'm looking at you like, dude, these mechanics.
Well, it
You
seems,
know,
I mean, it's equivalent of you buying a semi truck with almost 1 million miles on it. It's
Right,
Mhm.
How many miles is on your old one?
like hours,
hours.
I mean, hours.
That old John Deere.
Yeah.
20,000.
Well, so you're,
2001. No, I'm not sure.
but a bunch. Pile.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So you're still looking,
Right.
you know, yeah, this one's got the hours on it, but still a lot less and
One thing with rebuilding the John Deere is one of the things. You get a new engine.
yeah,
You have
but
a new engine, you have new hydraulics.
we got a bunch of other wear parts you have
But
to
then-
worry about.
You know, your transmission loss.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Mhm.
That's my concern with it being that old.
And that's why I.
But with that many hours, it's 20,000 hours. You're still looking at all the same
Yeah.
things with that. And trust me, Caterpillar costs more to rebuild than the John Deere.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's just my concern. is-
But,
Mhm.
but it looks
Yeah.
like a pretty nice
It
unit.
does.
And it isn't $100,000.
Mhm.
Right.
I would say be worth looking into more.
I'd definitely say
information on it.
research that then.
Yeah, so worth looking at.
If they have maintenance records. Too,
Yeah,
might.
yeah, I'd have to find out. Like I say, they got the whole contact information on this guy, you know, but I didn't want to start chasing something.
And find out where.
Come to the end of my chain, get yanked back. I can always that effort, you know, so.
Pat Collins, do you have something to add that would benefit the town? Please.
Patty and I went to Billings a month ago. And from Rockville, Billings, I see 3 road graders for sale along that little stretch road. One was in Rockville and the other 2 were on Second.
That new highway they built around there?
Well, no, there's one right there at Rockville, it's,
Yeah.
and then after you, between Laurel and Billings was the other 2.
Oh, okay, yes.
I would
The
not,
new highway's pretty nice, isn't it? Beat that old one.
I would not be opposed to you taking a trip north on a scouting
My
mission.
next question was, you know.
Put your eyes on it, put your hands on it.
I was,
Don't want to sight unseen.
I sort of talked with a little bit like that. I would, if we do something like that, I'd like to, Buddy and I go together.
Oh, man, that ain't gonna be no fun for him.
You want to go,
Okay.
huh, Jake?
Let's go.
I know less than you would think I know about that. I don't know how to run them. I just know how to fix them.
Yeah, it's something we can, like I say, we'll look into.
It's, I've been looking at some others. I'm looking at one right now in Texas.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
that other one I looked at was in Atlanta, Georgia. God, I wish we'd have had more time to go out. That was right before I went in and had knee surgery, because that was, I think, owned by the city of Atlanta. And it was low hours. For me, hours is like miles. I mean,
I had a
really
few
like
out
that.
of Missouri, there was a few on there out of
Yeah.
Missouri too. but,
What's the rate on something like that? Probably quite a bit.
$3 a mile, something like that.
Makes Billings more desirable.
Well, yeah, but if you, that went out in Atlanta was like, oh, 4,000 or 5,000 hours, like $25,000.
Whoa.
Makes you wonder what's wrong
Yeah,
with
you
it.
know,
There's something
it
else
was-
wrong with it.
it was painted ugly. I don't know,
Oh.
almost pink. It's Atlanta, Georgia. It was a city grader, low hours.
Maybe they did that so nobody'd steal it. Painted it.
like, I've been watching White Hot, trying to get there as a surplus. But, you know, and another thing we need to keep in mind, like I said, the last conversation we had about this blade is winter's knocking on our back door,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and White Hot does not plow our approaches
Okay.
from Maple Pine. You know, we've had to take our blades down there because they windrow it,
Yeah.
it warms up, it freezes.
Yeah.
People are bottling their car though, they're chewing my rear end, you know, which, you know, it's in the state right away, we're not supposed to be there, but.
I think when you guys go look, I think before any purchase be made, that we should have a mechanic sign off on it. You know, some kind of mechanic look at it.
Well, one thing you can do, it's pretty easy, is ask for an oil sample and have it analyzed.
Yeah,
Right, Jay?
Right.
yeah, send that in. But
Yeah, I mean, that,
it's
we'd have
pretty
done that on this
inexpensive.
last one we bought, that might have showed our problems we had with
Right.
it. But that's a pretty easy thing to get done.
That's what Caterpillar does with their leases.
Yes, yeah.
I,
They're pretty-
be worth the trip, though, if you guys can find the time. Especially like Pat said, if there's a handful of.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're fine time with winter coming.
With the oil field downturn, I've been looking at Texas.
Go down there, shoot some hogs, come back with a.
So anyway, yeah, that's something. I'll get some more information on it.
Right. That side of bladed would be, I don't know if we needed that, but it'd sure be handy as tough as ours. If it's dry like this, you can't do nothing. That's a considerably heavier and a lot more horsepower.
Right.
I compared the specs with our 672A
Right.
versus that cab, yeah.
Lower horsepower lives longer usually, though.
Okay. Well, sometimes it depends how hard you work it.
Use
If
all
it's
of
light work, they will, but heavy work, maybe not. Because that more horsepower you can ease into without pushing.
You forgot your paperwork. Huh?
Town signage. Perry, Marple, please bless us with your.
Well, I'll try to be real brief. So a few months ago, I came to the town and asked to volunteer to help create welcome signs coming into the town that were attractive, that would be appealing, and maybe give the town some pride in that welcome to Shoshoni sign as they drove in. So the town government authorized me to do that and also set aside $9,000 for the sign effort. I believe that's in the budget. That came along subsequent to when I first appeared to the town. So in the meantime, I did a whole bunch of research by calling just about every sign maker in the state. And I even called a few in Colorado, especially in Denver. The people out of state just didn't return my calls. And not everybody inside the state of Wyoming who was involved in sign making would return my calls either. So eventually I found several sign companies, and then I found one sign company that I felt comfortable working with. And it was especially their leading person. They're called Superior Signs in Casper. And a man named Frank with a long last name that I'm not even going to try to pronounce. He actually has ties to Fremont County and knows a lot about the county and about Shoshoni. And he was a person that seemed to be easiest to work with. And I went into this based on with an anticipation that a sign, not counting the structure that holds the sign in place, but just the sign itself was going to cost about $3,500 in that ballpark. And that's what officials from some different cities around the country that I had talked with had suggested would happen. Well, sure enough, once I spoke with Frank at Superior Signs, his offer was $3,500 a sign, and to install a structure for the sign and three of them at the three main entrances into town was going to cost $2,100. No, I said that wrong. $21,000. And so I said, well, let's break this down. And we looked at the how much for just the sign, and that was $3,500. And so what we came up with after a little arm twisting and negotiating is I got him to agree to $2,800 per sign. And what I would like to do is for, oh, and I'm also thinking, let's get 2 signs and not 3. And this is my proposal. I'm open. By the way, I'm going to just throw out my ideas, but I'm actually a servant of the town. If the town wants to do some different things, just tell me, I'll work with you. These are just my proposals to you to give you something to be thinking about, to consider. It seems to me that our town engineer, Cecil Boyle, could, he and I working together with his excellent staff, could actually come up with posts and structures and set them for the sign, and can do an attractive job. Have we done it before? No, but I think we can figure it out. And I think that would be a way to stay under budget. And but anyway, I need to do more research on that and explore it. What I seek from the town tonight is authorization to buy 2 signs at $2,800 a piece. And then Mr. Boyle and I will work together to see if we can get those 2 signs installed and do those 2 signs in that $9,000 budget. And my thinking also is we have 3 main traffic ways into the town. As you know, one comes from Riverton, one comes from Thermopolis, one comes from Casper. And it is my perception that the heaviest amount of traffic is from Riverton and from Casper. And so I would suggest that we put our welcome signs at those 2 entryways into town. And we'll think about one for Thermopolis on another day. But we can do this differently if the town would like for us to do this differently. And the sign that you guys, I believe you saw a sample sign at your last meeting was presented here. And I think I mistakenly didn't give you the latest version. We had several versions. It looks very close to what our latest version is, but I think that one might have said Gateway to Yellowstone. No, that was said Crossroads. Well, that's what we wanted then. That might be, maybe I did get the right one. Crossroads of Wyoming. What we were going for on the design was something that was reflected the unique flavor of Shoshoni. What we wanted to get away from is not looking like all the other welcome signs that you'll find around the state. Wanted something that really said Shoshoni. And we think we finally nailed one down that would do that. And so, so that's what I have for you today. So what I'm asking is, I'll take some questions in just a moment. But my request for you is to authorize me to go ahead and purchase 2 signs and work together with our town engineer and the Public Works Department to work towards getting those 2 signs installed. I'm open to questions. Go right ahead. Where would you guys have me go first? Kim Kundle.
He's older. He needs.
No, they're not. They're wood signs, and they have a Western look. Is what we're going for. And so,
we found that they were in the long run cheaper because the maintenance
By the way, the state parks look was something I was initially thinking about. Well, that's good. I appreciate you bringing that and passing that around.
Wanted to see that.
Yeah. But I was interested in the state park look, get rustic and just Wyoming and Western. And well, I'll tell you what, Frank and I have been, what Superior Sign has proposed was they would build something, it was going to be out of pine. They called it a pine slab. And if I understand this correctly, each slab is 2 inches thick. And then you glue 3 or 4 of them together and they make a much thicker sign. And there's routering and there's burning in the lettering, and there'll be some images of I think that picture shows a deer and an antelope and a fish. Let's see, said he would cover it with teak oil, which moisturizes the wood, and then would clear coat it. And then he suggested to me that the maintenance would be once a year, clean the sign and put another clear coat. He used the term clear coat. It's a kind of varnish of some kind. Something like that on that order. So I wanted to hear that because I didn't want a high maintenance sign. And I did not think that sounded too high maintenance, but I'm open
Did
to
he
ideas
give
on
any-
that.
Excuse me, do you give any idea of longevity? That's how long the sign he would estimate? It would
Yes.
last if you could
He-
coat it every year?
I asked him that question and he spoke of 30 years. And even then, I think that's kind of it depends. That probably depends on whether we're faithful about maintaining, about cleaning it and probably clear coating it each year.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Jennifer.
So you were suggesting, find like one in Casper, Riverton. As the chamber, we're also, in the pretty much somewhat final stages on redoing the big
The billboard.
billboard.
Yeah.
We have a gentleman in Riverton that's doing it for us. And he's got many different options too. I'm not sure if you want to reach out to him still on ideas. But would be a great source to go to as well. If we were talking to sign, if we are redoing this one, maybe suggesting maybe the other one was still on.
Yeah. Put my eye on that $9,000 budget. And that's why I was thinking maybe 2 now, and then maybe coming back again in another year and trying to get the 3rd one. That's why I was thinking about that. But I'm open.
How much over does it make it if you do 3?
I'm sorry.
How much over your budget if you do 3?
Well, the whole budget will have been spent on signs.
$4,500.
That's what it is,
Yeah.
If they're equal,
Mhm.
that's what that would come to.
Would be $8,400 to buy the signs.
Uh-huh.
3 of them at $2,800. $7,600 to get 3 of them erected, which probably ain't gonna cover.
Mm-mm.
Well, basically, Perry said 9,000, but should be enough to do 2.
Right.
So another 4,500 would be 13,500 to do 3 if that number is correct.
Is there any places where we could increase his budget on this signage?
Haven't looked at it. I don't know if Chris has either.
I know myself, I would, if we're gonna do it, let's just do it if we can. Without it hurting us, but if we can, I'd rather just see us get them all done if we can afford it.
That 700 you got him to knock off. Do you think he would do the same price at a future period? Obviously you don't have an answer, but I'm asking what your impression was.
Sure, I understand the question. I think he would.
Okay.
I
That was
do.
gonna be also a stipulation. we'd want.
Because if it was like, if you do it all now, I'll do it this, but you think we could maybe get that future price, same price in the future as a guess?
What's the chance in the future that it's a lot higher?
Well, I think
But-
though that if we go right back next year and try it again next
Right,
year on the
near
third
future.
sign, in the near future, and don't let it drag out too long, our chances are better.
Well, yeah, just
Put it in
cost of
writing,
materials
contract.
rather than, yeah.
Mhm.
Put it in writing.
Now, I really don't know what kind of money we'd be getting into on the post. Just got to get into the research of it. But I have to think that materials aren't that bad. I bought from a guy in Du Bois, head of sawmill. I bought beautiful pine beams to install in a house I'm working on. And it's where you take out a weight-bearing wall and you put up a beam to support. And I got enough for 2 houses to do that. And I did it all for like $400.
Have you and Buddy discussed YDOT, what kind of time frame we're looking at YDOT to get approval to install the signs?
We have talked, I don't have anything definitive for you, but Mr. Boyle said to me just a little while ago, he said, when you're asking YDOT to actually put up the sign and maintain it, it goes real slow. But this is a little different because we're not asking them to maintain it. We're just getting authorization to install the thing. And we're both perhaps foolishly optimistic that it might actually go faster rather than slower. I don't know if that's, am I answering your question?
No, so we don't have a time, but we think it'll go. It may be not, because I've heard rumors it takes quite a while.
Like I was just telling Curry, I mean, yeah, the signs that we were putting up, we are maintaining, that's what YDOT wants, but still
Right.
I have not heard nothing from that. They just keep wanting GPS coordinates. Now they want pictures. So.
How's our Jake break? Have we applied for a Jake break sign?
That's what I'm talking about.
And how
And that's
long?
what I was telling Terry is, if we can at least get an idea, of size of the timbers and everything, we could probably apply for that with the picture, get that going. Or when that does come, we got that behind us, because so far, with being some breaks, yes, I'm still waiting, so.
As we're getting closer towards ground thaw, or ground freeze, I meant to say. And after a while, it's just not going to be practical probably to try to.
I think it'd be important to have it in next spring or summer.
Yeah. We have everything in place now.
Sure.
Or ordered.
Yeah, I could see that happening as soon as the ground starts thawing out.
And the
Be ready to go.
The dimension of the sign itself, excluding poles, support and everything, is 4 by 8, correct?
Correct. 4 foot by 8 foot, just for the sign. We want it to be big. I think that's big. Kind of wanted to get everybody's attention.
Yeah.
If we're going to do it, let's not be stingy about it. Let's put up a real sign, a big one. One that says Shoshoni all over it.
I believe Pat Collins has a question too, Perry.
Sure.
Rather than going on the highway right away, could you jump the fence at least 10-foot square property from property owners?
Get off the easement.
Want to go with a bigger sign.
to move it out.
Pardon?
Yeah.
What was that, Ken?
You'd want to go with a bigger sign if you're gonna move it out.
Right,
further
make
out,
it
further
more
away,
visible.
bigger you need to have it. Be able to read it.
I think it's a valid idea and we'll look into it. Sure will.
Would cut through a lot of red tape.
I had a question from a past Girl Scout. The Girl Scouts put these signs up, I don't know how many years ago. They wanted to know what's gonna happen to their old signs. I mean, the Girl Scouts raised money, they got approval from the state. They're just saying, what are you gonna do with them? Throw them away, what?
Well, I had no plan of doing anything with those signs, but just leaving them in place, actually, as far as I'm concerned.
That's my question. I'll report
Yeah.
back to that
You
Girl
bet.
Scout.
I do have a suggestion for the Girl Scouts. One thing that I've noticed as I talk to people about that sign, I'm amazed how many people who've lived here all their life but don't even realize the signs are there. And the reason why is because of the color. It blends in, it's camouflaged in a way. And so I was going to suggest to that group that I like the sign, consider painting it. It's the gold color, I believe. And it'd be nice if it were painted the other Shoshoni high school color, which is blue, so that it'll stand out better. But it's just an idea, just a suggestion.
Yeah, they're definitely not very visible.
Yeah,
That
and
was the only question I had about the sign.
yeah, very good. Are there other questions from the audience? Mary Lou?
Ordered all three signs and we can't put them in until spring. Is there any way, Chris, we could raise the money for the poles by spring?
Well, it's a two-part question, or two-answer question. As far as raising money, there's multiple ways to do that within the confines of our current
I
budget.
can't hear.
Oh, sorry. It's more than one answer to that, but basically, there's ways that it can be done within the current confines and structures of our budget. We have lots of things in our budget that we're not currently planning any projects for or utilizing, so council could reappropriate those funds that are already approved in the overall budget towards this project in the future in spring. I can't say what the future revenues are going to be between now and spring, so I can't really go on that. I hope that they're going to be above what we budgeted, so that would be another avenue of funding it. But there is mechanisms in our current budget where we could still do that without.
It's permissible to do that. I am a little bit familiar with that process, that budget process, and you can bring monies in, unused monies from other categories in the budget, so long as that it's just done in the open at a approved of at a council meeting. But that is a common practice.
Would probably become a real priority if we had 3 brand new signs sitting there too. We could get 3 signs, just the signs, and be under budget.
Mhm.
To make 3 signs is going to take a while. I mean, he's not going to do it this week. So, it's still into the time frame that we're looking at. That would be-
It is in the realm of possibilities that it could happen actually before winter. At least 1 or 2 signs. Should the YDOT actually prove to be, should they surprise me?
Where will they be? Where is the location for all 3 of them?
Yeah, I'm not settled on that. I don't know. I had in view the same place that right by the Girl Scout signs for, that say Shoshoni. What does it say? Shoshoni Wranglers? I can't remember.
I'm thinking that's what it says, Home of the Wranglers.
Home of the Wranglers. That's right. I always envisioned right there, but YDOT's got to approve this, and so I don't know. I'd like to see the Home of the Wranglers sign stay put.
Oh, I would too.
Yeah.
But I do think.
Uh,
that's a paint job.
yeah.
So people can see it.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
But I think we talked a little bit about going out there and trying to go out there and look at it and try to visualize where this, you can take a sheet of plywood with you, 4x8, kind of visual where it ought to, where it should go, and try to pick a spot. That was sort of what I don't know where to put it, but out there somewhere.
I'm not a department head for signs. At least I don't think there's a sign department head. So that's why I've come to you guys. I guess if there was a sign department head, I could go ahead and make the expenditure as long as I stay within $9,000. But it seemed to me, probably I ought to just come here and ask. Might be the more appropriate way to go about this. So it would be up to the town to make a motion to approve this and have a discussion. So do you have any further questions for me?
Not at this time.
All right. You guys can call me.
Might have a question for you later on today.
All right.
In
Thank you, Craig.
You bet.
number 10.
Okay. Sounds good.
I'd like to make a motion that we buy 3 signs now and then look at our budget come next year for finishing off and getting everything finished, but get the signs now.
Or next year, I mean,
Yeah.
after the first year, next year's
Yes.
budget doesn't start till July.
Yeah.
At the end of the quarter.
But the-
Clarification. You want, starting in July, next year's budget. Is that what I heard? Because Jake said end of the quarter, so I need.
That's what I was wondering.
So that's what I'm,
No, we need to get it done before July, so we can word it however you want.
okay, well, you said next year's budget begins in July, so I just need clarification.
Yeah, both, I asked the same thing at the first of the year,
Mhm.
I pointed out July. And both said no, first of the year.
Did I second that yet? Nope. I'll second that now.
It's been moved and seconded, authorized Perry Marple, representing the town of Shoshoni, purchased the 3 new signs only. Yes, standard of blood. What's the price, Perry, did you give us?
$2,800 per sign.
Plus sales tax? We're tax exempt or what we?
I don't know the answer. That was just the base price, not counting taxes. But we might be exempt.
Should be.
I can get you an exemption. I'll get you an exemption form.
Right.
What'd you say, Chris?
I'll get you an exemption form to give to them. Tax exemption.
So that'd be $8,400. We authorize Perry Marple to order the signs, not to exceed $8,400.
Could you give me just a little bit in case something pops up?
Not to exceed $9,000. That was the original budget.
But I'll try to keep it at, it is my intent. I can't imagine it being more than 84 because we gave our word to each other. That's
Okay.
what we're about. 2,800 is what we do.
So it's what been moved and seconded to give Perry Marple the authorization, purchase of signs, 2 signs for the town of Shoshone, not to exceed $9,000. Any further discussion? Questions? None being, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you, Perry, for your work. I know you worked real hard on this for the last
8 months,
at least.
Quite a while.
9 months.
The historic log building movement placement. That's been donated. Tim Davis Fastlane donated the old log building over off of California, between 2nd and 3rd Street. Our intention is to move it to the city park. Pardon? With a twist. Oh, but what the price on moving was, what was that? Did we already approved that? And we didn't have the price of the moving or the cement. Correct. And we did in our estimate, we got an estimate for cement.
4,000.
Yeah, it's $4,000.
I don't do it, but it doesn't say in the cement.
It does.
Yeah.
Who's doing the concrete work for it, Joe?
Okay.
Schneider,
Schneider?
the $4,000 estimate.
So we've already approved the moving. For $5,200. Huh? Oh.
So
I don't think we didn't, because the estimate's from 10 to 6, and we haven't met.
Yeah, I don't think
This is
we're-
not approved. Yeah,
I don't
it
remember.
doesn't say anything about approval of $5,200. Okay, on reading minutes.
That's what I was asking. Okay. Okay, we have that, we have the cost to move it is $5,200. Cost for the cement is $4,000. Correct. So that's $9,200. Correct. We're looking at that log building in the future. I just think that's a piece of history. I think it'll be attractive to have it in our park, and we can actually utilize the building while we have it there. We have several options. You know, one of the options is turning it into a restrooms. It's big enough, we could even turn it into storage for park equipment. So besides just being pretty, we can also have functional use for it.
So along those lines, the prefab bathroom, when you got that part, Centennial Park was about 15,000. Utilizing this building that was donated as a structure at 9,200 to move and place it would still leave another $6,000 for what if we would pay for a prefab building or prefab restroom to be placed in there for money and the crew to be able to retrofit it into a bathroom, as well as provide storage for the equipment in the park, as well as control modules for any plumbing or water lines that are going to the sprinkler system. And the capital projects budget hasn't been expended at all. We have $93,000 budget for capital projects, and this would fall within that category. So the funding would fall into that. So it's not a new funding or additional funding that's being requested, just be releasing those funding to go for this purpose of 9,200 for once the post work.
You have an estimate on how
renovations for bathrooms and costs.
Buddy just stepped out, so, I don't,
So the size of that building is what?
20 by 16.
Okay, that's right.
and it's gotta be a unique bathroom setting instead of just concrete or prefabricated run-of-the-mill bathrooms for the parks. It'd be something unique and, while being historical in nature as well.
Have a big sign on it, call it the outhouse.
And just to update people too, you know, I've been in contact with the Historical Society and they're also willing to try to help us get some funding to help with this building as well, because they'd like to put it on the historic preservation,
National Register.
the National Register, right? So they're willing to do what they can to help us.
What was the cost of the last one that was built at the park?
15,000.
And so, and now we have what, 125% increase in building materials right now from the past year?
Probably more than that, depending on
Yeah.
what aspect you're looking at. As far as inside, plumbing can be done by the city crew, so that would be a minimal cost. Also would be the accessories for toilets, sinks, and then ensuring that the housing, the walls inside are not going to cave in or fall or move it and stabilize everything inside of it. I don't have a price on how much that will cost.
You have the electrical. And, yeah, can't have exposed wood in the bathrooms.
And so we'd have that fabrication inside.
You can't have exposed wood in your bathroom.
Well, you want exposed wood. The people treat that building like they did the East Park bathrooms.
One more thing.
I didn't know if that was a code thing or
No, just think about it.
It's-
Yeah.
So that was part of what was 6,000 would should be enough to be able to facilitate that, but I don't have an exact estimate on how much.
that's something that would have to be decided ahead of time to have pipes laid down before the concrete's poured.
Not necessarily.
No, Buddy already has it arranged where the pipes currently run, that once it's poured, speaking with the contractor, he's able to just tap down and be able to install them after the fact. It's a little bit more work for him, but because we're doing the work in-house, it's not an additional cost per se.
Just give us, yeah, we have options still.
And if we had enough time, Buddy could pre-plumb it and then pour the concrete, but he would have to get the plan in place of where everything's gonna go before he did that. And the building has to be moved in a certain time frame, so that's why.
Right, because
We may not have time.
That's the problem. So he just assured that we could go back and still do it that way, just more work for him, but it's not an issue.
The building been inspected on the ground level where the building meets the ground, because there's probably no foundation. Am I incorrect? I mean, would it have to be treated, this dry rock under the first layer of wood? Has that been inspected?
I think it's on cement.
Seems to me it's elevated on something.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's a good question.
And it's almost 2 stories tall, so we've got room to take down a little if we had to.
It is pretty high.
Yeah, 16 foot. It's got a loft.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a
Mhm.
loft.
Two local bathrooms.
Might be an old mother-in-law's quarters.
But then again, since we're doing that, we're following the capital construction. That existing fund.
So we need a motion now.
Yeah, if I can get a motion.
Okay, I so move that we continue with this and
move it and do the cement work.
Right.
I'll second.
Been moved and second that we authorize Buddy running this project.
You have this one.
Okay, give Buddy the authorization to arrange to have this
He's not here to
moved
defend himself.
and the cement done. We have bids for $9,200. Did I get a second?
Mhm.
Moving second, any further discussion, concern?
I'm just intrigued with it. I think it's a good thing. However, whatever is finalized, what we do with it.
Yeah,
we're
not saying this is
yeah,
gonna be about.
I just think it's,
Yeah,
I think it's a good thing
to save it.
to save it.
Yeah, I do too. You was just trying to brainstorm that
I drove,
functionality of their.
I went by and looked at it and it's just, I think it's saving. Especially with the ideas of the Western look.
Any others? Comments, questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
You have a question?
I just have a question. Does anybody have a history of that building?
I got some.
I know years and years and years ago, I heard the history on it. It was really unique,
It's-
but I don't remember it.
It was in Thompson's livery stable. So, but yeah, I can get you some history on it.
That'd be really cool if that could. be
Sure.
some healthy-
Part of it.
But with it-
I agree.
Sure, a plaque
Yeah.
on it where it's just,
Yeah.
yes.
Make it a lot bigger asset.
Yes.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, that's good thinking.
Mary Lou?
Do you look, we talked about moving the old jail. Have you looked into that anymore or anything been thought
We've talked about it.
about?
It'd be a lot.
We've talked about it. That's just,
You know, Kathy's been working on that for
Yes.
quite a while. Yeah,
Yes.
she's been on that because we talked about that when we first even started. I asked her and she said she's been looking into it. I think she's hit a lot of red tape on it because of what she has to go through.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
The
I
guy that's
even
got the
brought up,
say on
even if
it's
we had
in
to take it
Denver.
apart and put it back together, they wouldn't grant the ground. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, especially if we could incorporate maybe like close to the building that we're talking about moving.
That a number of years ago.
Mm.
Be awful, it could be stabilized where it's at, but it'd be there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think it'd be better off just move it and maybe put it by this building that we're doing.
Sees it that way, yes.
Mm-mm.
no, agreed.
No, and if you put it by the park with that look, that would be kind of
Yeah.
a neat thing.
It's funny, my email just came through from you.
Oh, I just sent it.
Oh, that's why I just got it. The Jimmy Thompson's livery stable barn, according to Lois Herbst.
Mhm.
New business, let's move on. Farmer's market application for the community room.
There's other stuff on this proposal. Tell me about it, please, because I wasn't here last week
On this,
on this garage even in the library part. I'm ignorant about it. I wasn't here last week.
On the house movers.
Yeah, the house move.
mhm.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean,
what's your question about?
tell me about it because I have nothing to go. from.
Okay, to move the garage. That's the city. That they gave an estimate of moving the garage. They gave the estimate of moving. The garage is at your old house. Tim Davis is moving that to one of his properties. That's not for us.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not for us.
Okay,
But he gave us all these bids.
okay, that's where it could be.
Yeah. He gave us all these bids, and he put it all on one sheet. That's for Tim Davis, actually.
Okay, and the last one there?
The last one we looked at moving we're looking at moving, potentially the library building. If we were gonna move the library, we got an estimate for moving that. And I think we have an estimate of moving that. Of the PD also, I think.
It's not on there.
No, okay. But that's what the other one, and if we was gonna move, if we chose to relocate the library, that would be the charge to relocate the library.
Okay,
The
I
building.
just didn't know.
Right.
The other stuff was.
Correct, sure. Okay. Farmers market application for community room.
So, as you know,
Jennifer Shannon speaking.
yes, Jennifer Shannon's tired right now. So most of you have attended the farmer's market. It's still going well. We still have quite a few vendors. I've reached out since it is getting the colder season. They're wanting to do farmer's market indoors. They don't want to end the season yet. So I've reached out to my vendors. They're wanting to do twice a month, the first and third Friday of the month. Still from 5 to 7. Just because we've started out with just an hour, then we moved it to the 2 hours. Vendors are quite content with our 2-hour frame. And that gets more people out and in a not so time crunch. So the only thing with the community room, I know there'll be other entities that will want it for their organizations, possibly on a Friday. If that does come across that I'm not able to have farmers market on a first or third because they're needing the community room, I understand that, and so did my vendors. So they want to continue it as long as we can, possibly shut it down like December, January-ish for a while just because of the holidays. But they also want to try to do it too for around the holiday seasons, for, you know, gifts, whatnot. So that's what I have for you.
So you say Wednesdays and Fridays?
No, first and third.
First
Friday.
and third Fridays.
Oh, okay.
From
First
5
and-
to
okay.
7.
Twice a month.
October.
I would like to start it as soon as we can, just because the weather is starting to get colder. And like last week, it was actually pretty good. It wasn't too cold or anything. So
It's also getting dark at 7 o'clock.
yeah. So the sooner the better we can move indoors. I think my vendors will be happy too. I will, once this is approved, I will update my flyers, get new flyers back out of the updated changes. County 10 has still been calling me every other week just to get updates and what they would like to post. And they've been very consistent with whatever's going on. And they're still excited that we're still going.
We are too.
So my one question is, does it need to be approved?
It's ongoing throughout the winter.
So it
It's
would,
not just a one-time event type.
So I say it needs to be approved because we're changing locations and using the town facilities. town hall.
Well, I think farmer's market's great. Appreciate it. And I make a motion that we approve the requested first and third Friday of every month from 5 to 7 with your obvious setup and tear down time, whatever the extended time you would need. With respect to, I don't know when the Wyoming Women's 5-Shot Rabbit Hunt is.
In January. And it
I think
normally
it's the
starts on
sec-
Friday night.
I don't know if it's second or third, but that if they, with respect to them, that's the only conflict I could see. So with respect to that, I make a motion we approve first and third Friday of the month for as long as you want to run it during the winter.
I'll second.
What about Fifth Fridays?
There's
in
no Fifth
October,
Fridays.
So. Just figuring. My question is, what do you want to move in? We move location because we have this week, 16th, 23rd, and 30th.
Then we can count
Yeah.
you.
I know you have to notify your vendors and all that other stuff.
So technically, I could have it start on the 16th, because that would be my third Friday of the month.
This Friday.
I could. They'd be willing to move indoors, honestly.
You wouldn't have,
16th is fine.
Um,
I just wanted to know when.
And if anything, we can move indoors. I can finish out October indoors and then doing it every week. And then starting in November, I can move it. Because I think it would be better for letting everybody know of the major changes.
adjustment.
Yeah.
So what's the motion?
To support the farmer's market and using the community room for the first and third Friday through all the winter months as they see fit. With respect to the Wyoming Women's 5-Shot Rabbit Hunt, I don't know if that's the second or third. If that's,
Second.
I believe it's a second, so
Or
it shouldn't conflict.
Any other organizations that come to the board.
But then you also want to include the next 3 Fridays, right?
Yeah.
On his motion.
First and third Friday.
No.
Starting
was
in
starting-
November.
You can amend it then.
Okay.
My motion's the
Couldn't you
first and
just add
third
that-
Friday through the winter
Starting in
months as
November.
they need. All right, starting in November is what I meant to say. I apologize.
But couldn't you include to let her go ahead and do it the 3 Fridays of this month?
The last three Fridays in October, and then the first and third Fridays
Following.
following that.
We're
So
just-
Was you
amended?
making a motion to amend my motion? Is that it?
I'm just suggesting.
No,
you never do
that. No, we're just adding to your motion.
All right, so I will amend my motion so that it will state, please listen, Kathy.
Okay.
And it's second.
That it will allow for the farmer's market and our support of the farmer's market and the use of the farmer's market and the community room for the remaining Fridays in October and the first and third Fridays throughout the winter months as they see fit with respect to other longstanding or with respect to other needs.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? None being all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you guys close at
Thanks,
5,
Jennifer.
right? So I can stop for the key.
Town of Shoshoni investment policy. From
Everyone get the chance to review,
I did.
as long as you can review just the. Vote on accepting it, and then I'll have to, decide.
So we have
I moved that we go with the town investment policy. Acknowledgement.
Second.
So we do have our multiple accounts and all that, or we have 2 lending, or we have 2 banks that we bank at and all that crap like it says in there.
Financial, Wildstar.
Okay, 2 or more.
Okay.
I wasn't sure if the Wildstar was a separate entity. That's what I'm not clear on, or if it was at the bank. That's,
It's a state through the Department of Treasury, the Wyoming State Treasurer that manages.
So is it
that.
completely
So
different?
it's kind of-
So what is the trigger financial district?
That is actually the senior center.
Okay.
So that was an investment that was required to.
Make a motion to accept that. Second again.
Been moved and second that we approve the town of Shoshone investment policy. Any further discussion? None be all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? City park official opening.
Well, we're not gonna have grass, but we tentatively, will have everything up for the basketball court, the fire pit, fireplace. And, speaking of Buddy, we will be able to facilitate over the trees, have some kind of a fall type get together, weather permitting, to officially open the park for some kind of town event. I was thinking like a Saturday, people are off, maybe you have a basketball, I don't know, just whatever the council can think of. Something fun or something for the community to do, maybe with, well, she's gone now, but the farmer's market. I'm talking to her, she thought it'd be great to have a public park there, but obviously they're moving the door, so.
I just changed it.
But a Saturday, Halloween's the 31st. I'm not sure. Maybe we could do something in the afternoon on a Saturday prior to, especially with COVID and everything else like that. Have some kind of fun event open for. But I thought it'd be good to put some kind of a official opening to that, some sort. Utilize the park.
If we do something on Halloween, we could continue it into the evening to have treats for the kids for trick or treating, and maybe have a nice bonfire out there, to get the community, because they're going to be out anyways. You're going to get more people coming in and enjoying it and wanting to warm up after they're doing their trick or treating too. So I think that might.
Do we have lighting on it yet?
We're this week we got some other things going on, so kind of the latest 2 weeks. But we have the Beth's Electric is getting the bid and stuff. So Buddy just has to draw the trench, and we should be able to get the lighting up by then.
Okay, that was. my
So
concern.
that's why I'm kind of leaning towards the end of the month to ensure we have the lighting. Everything up.
Yeah, that's it.
And,
Yeah.
Halloween being on a Saturday, I thought that not to take away from other people's trick or treating like that during the daytime. We have ability to gas and grill on some kind of barbecue. The town wanted to put on some kind of event along with that for the town for Halloween. I thought it might be a cool venue. Put the trees and stuff kind of looks kind of Halloween-ish in a way.
Yeah.
Got some sensible trees, so he's kind of used to it.
Couldn't we, if we don't have the lighting up, could we rent some lighting to put out there?
Yeah, I mean,
I think Halloween's a no-brainer. In my opinion, I think everybody's out already, and I think what a great way to get the community involved. I mean, granted, as Jake and I were discussing, it is the last day of deer season, so it kind of hurts.
But I may fill on opening day.
Yeah. So I think Halloween's a great time, in my opinion.
I'd love to do it.
How long's it been since we had a costume party or a contest for the kids?
Holy moly, that was a
Not her, her.
while ago.
Wanda has the maze, and it's going to be at the library on Halloween Day from 1 to 4, and she's got activities inside the library planned for the kids 12 and under. They can't go down and get scared to death at the senior center. So I brought posters here to that effect.
I think we should do it Halloween.
That's where I'm at.
We put this on next meeting's agenda to finalize, or is that too close?
Be too close, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think we need to,
We gotta get up on,
we gotta do it now or.
I say we do it now, but I mean, we could have exact details as the.
I'm sorry, sure. Propose something for this. I figured that'd be more of a, let the council figure out. I don't, we could, we got some barbecue or if council allotted a certain amount of funding to purchase small items for that, and we could along that lines then have time to pull us and we'll start to improve a certain amount and we kind of, like I said, kind of come together with parameters or something, or whether it be a barbecue or trick or treat or anything along those lines that buy some time to do that without having to have another meeting or included, whatever amount.
Kind of funds could be available for that. Where would they come from?
We have the mayor's discretionary, city council discretionary fund.
so it can be done.
Gary,
My opinion only, I think council should take into consideration the function the library is doing for the kids under 12 in this town and not put on an event that is right on top of that basically shuts that off. That's my own personal opinion.
Why would that have to shut that off?
Well,
Figured to add to it.
if you've got a party going in barbecue it, where would you want to be? If you were a kid.
Well, that's what it's about though, is the kids.
So I'm just saying, the one for the library was
1 to 4.
1 to 4.
Were you discussing a day or evening? or-
Halloween. Oh,
Yeah, but daytime.
No time has been set.
nighttime?
We have no time.
we had together like a little. How much I had to buy on it? That'd be expensive though.
Yeah,
4:15. That'll give them time to get finished at the library, walk across the street.
Thank you.
and you could even do something for the bigger kids a little older.
Maybe Jordan wants to do something with the basketball.
Sure.
or something.
We're gonna have our fence put in on Monday.
Yeah, we got the post drilled
Okay.
today and the concrete work done this week and then put the fencing up and it should be up on Friday. And hopefully lighting should be up by then. Explore.
What are our options for some grub?
Well, we have that grill we can utilize anything from we could cater or some kind of catering type thing, pizza, whatever, or
Hot dogs.
hot dogs and
hot dogs,
chips.
hamburgers.
Something easy.
Yeah, I mean,
Cheap and
fairly
simple and-
accessible and,
It is what it
à
is,
la
just
carte
hot
type
dogs.
deal.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, keep it up, hot dogs, chips,
you
and
bet.
it is what it
Maybe
is.
bring a side
I like hot
if you
dogs.
can.
Maybe some s'mores or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
They have a mess
Hi
everywhere.
Sold. Chocolate mushrooms and graham crackers, I mean, can't go wrong there.
When your boy out in the grocery store and you light a campfire and your 2-year-old says, "We get marshmallows."
Well, do we have a
don't any
motion on to have a grand opening, if you will, or a winter opening, what are we gonna call it? Official
Grand opening.
Official grand opening.
I'd make a motion that we'd have an official grand opening of the city park, the new city park on Halloween, which would start in the late afternoon, evening, in an attempt to not conflict with the library's activities. That would include barbecue dinner and whatever else we can put together.
beer.
That sounds good.
That takes another motion.
Be a lot of people showing up.
Don't we have a bunch of beer at the place we just bought?
No. Did I get a second?
I second.
Been moved and second. We have a grand opening Halloween day at a park. We'll look at develop some activities and plan forward and get the information out to the public.
I think we need to make sure to get information on this right away sent over to the school, so those kids over there at the school will know too. Because I think that's another place where we need to keep working on with the communications like that, because there's been functions like the Santa deal and stuff like that, and the school has no clue that's even going on. So I think that would be good to get the school involved with that.
Any more discussion? None being all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion passed. Department head report. Library report. Adult patrons, 121 for September. Children patrons, 141. Special activities, none. Meeting attendance, 11. Story time, 25. Visitor center, 20. Total library visitor center usage, 218. Computer use, library computers, 33. Personal computer use, 34. Circulation items in the library, 170. New library cards, 5. Start balance, 1665. Libraries brought in $55.90 for this fiscal year, which that started July 1st. Update, PALS has agreed to assist and put on the food festival for children 2 to 12, October 31st, from 1 to 4 p.m. They'll have a maze again, other activities. Hope complete. Please keep an eye on us. UC September 20 versus 2019. Adult patrons was 120 down from 140. Children's youth library, same number. Story time up 25 from 15. Visitor center down from 47. It's 20 this year. Circulation is up 170 from 114 in September 2019. That's all I have from the library. Police report.
So we've had a couple additional vandalisms that have taken place. And they've been apprehended in this case, and I do caution everybody to make sure you are securing your vehicles at night. Our current staffing, our new officer will be complete with his initial FTO at the end of this month, at which time he will begin the last phase of his FTO, which is a job shadowing. So we'll have 2 officers on. It's essentially just 1 for the time frame, because he's not going to be allowed to be completely on his own, although he'll be patrolling by himself. There'll be another officer, myself or Sergeant Smith, that will be on with him to ensure if there's any issues while he finishes that last phase of training. At which time our full coverage operations will begin in November. Well, sorry, middle of November, and that will carry on until January 24th. At which time begin his training at the academy in Douglas. And we will have our reserve officer that will fill in the gap to keep continuity through the remainder of winter with our hourly coverage. Now, night patrols in the evening time will vary on what time, but when we aren't patrolling at night, we will have calls, so there will be always essentially 24 hours of coverage for Shoshoni versus the sheriff's office will be responding as backup. This past weekend, we had a incident involving some firearms here, and a short pursuit took place, and the subject was apprehended with that incident. And that was 1:30 in the morning. So if you heard anybody driving fast through town, that's what that was. Our citations for the month were almost $19,000 in total citations written or received in fines, I should say. We wrote 96 citations for the month. Our average speed cited was 43. Average speed observed was 48 miles an hour, so they're actually getting faster. Our current level of expenditures is for equipment. We are fully equipped. Our last shipment of our body armor is finally going to arrive this week, so we will be able to have our full body armor for our own protection finally. Unfortunately, it took 5 months to get here, but it'll be here Friday. And that's all I got. Oh, and our new vehicle will be here tomorrow. It'll be complete tomorrow. So we'll be back to having 2 vehicles instead of sharing the one. Also, I'll add in the SRO vehicle. That was gifted from the town. I still have to get some paperwork involved in that, but that is going to go from the school district for the town. They were able to raise funding to provide the wraps. That was not town money that paid for that SRO vehicle wrap. That, as well as the gear is funded by the school district. And Cody Myers, the SRO, effective October 1st, is 100% of the town of Shoshoni employee.
What the school district did, they're gifting the SRO vehicle to the town of Shoshoni.
It was on the county 10 today.
Yeah, that's why.
And I believe it's a Suburban.
So
No.
yeah, it's a
Oh, yeah.
And, yes, and that was the school district gave that gift to the town of Shoshoni. And it's used for the SRO. It's used for the SRO officer, but the town of Shoshoni. And the SRO officer is a full-time town of Shoshoni employee now. But the school district reimburses us all of our costs for that employee. That's total.
Yes.
Total reimbursement.
He's paid from he's a town of Shoshoni employee, but it's reimbursed between the grant and the school district reimburses 1%. So the town's not actually spending anything per se. It's a wash. I walked through on our last 2 meetings or 3 meetings ago where I received permission to have that line to budget for account for him. So I forwarded it out.
I thought our department reports was supposed to be part of our minutes. We talked about that a while back. Did we not?
You asked if we include them in the minutes.
And I don't see that happening. I got an email from the library, but I got an email from you. Our minutes, sorry.
I didn't type my report this time.
Okay.
That's why.
Okay, I'm just wondering, they're supposed to, we thought that money was raised. I found that need to, I have to write something out. And so I thought we were going to put them in the minutes because they're given public. And thought that shouldn't that be public record then?
And that's what we, if it was put down on paper that I provided, if it was just a verbal report, that it is public record, I would report it
so it's kind of covered under that. But it will be, all the ones that are submitted will be put in the official minutes in the book.
Thank you.
But-
Yeah. Can I have a motion to go into executive session
I move that we go into executive session
for real estate?
for real estate.
A second? Second. Moving second, we go on executive session for real estate. Any further discussion? None being. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 9:46. We got it.
Yeah.
Chris, would you jump on this? Shouldn't. Well, you don't know. You know, never will.
No, I'm just picking up the chair for not doing it. And I want to do it later. I think you better pull it forward. Thinking about so seriously, Gary, I can see the smoke. I feel so too. That's why I have a switch. Yeah.
No, it's never been allowed there, that I know of.
the surgery because it's no longer surgery. Uh-oh. I know. I remember that. You know, that's exactly what we needed. I even left one for home. Exactly what we needed.
And a motion to open the meeting.
Second.
Move second, we back in open general meeting, 10:19, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Round table. Just want to talk just about a couple things. The clinic is moving along pretty good. I was in there yesterday. Got a lot of the framing up inside like that. There was actually some plumbers have done a little bit of work. Going to get plumbers and electricians in there, getting quite a bit of moving forward on that. We've already talked about the town park. That's continued to, I think, move on. I would like to also bring up there this afternoon, while I was down here, there was a young lady that got a speeding ticket. And said how well she was treated by everybody, by the police officers, by the girls up front with dealing with her ticket. It cost her over $200. She was speeding. She knew she was speeding. She didn't deny that. She was leaving town and just started going too fast. But she was said she was treated. Her and her husband both said treated really well by the police officer that arrested her and the police department in Hull. So that's a good thing. You can get a $200 ticket and they leave happy, So, but it was, I guess, treated with respect by the employees of the town of Shoshoni, and I guess not everywhere that happens. So, that's kudos to everybody that was involved with the girls here and the police officers, and our judge, for everybody with that. So that's a good thing. That's what we want to portray as our town. And I know with talking with Chris before talking about the chief's job and what he believes in community policing and try to be more friendly, if you will, or try to be more friendly and less aggressive in policing, to still do a good job around the town. So anyway, I was pretty impressed with that. And I guess that's all I have.
Okay, so what I've got, it all started with the whole drama over political signs being placed in the right of way. And so I got to doing a bunch of driving around town, and I happened to be noticing a few things while there were certain people chasing after me. I was noticing a lot of things that I think should be brought up. So section 6-2 of the Shoshone Town Codes, no wall, structure, building, or part thereof shall hereafter be built, enlarged, or altered in the town. Goes on a little bit about that. It says structures hereafter erected without a permit or not in conformity with this chapter shall be removed. So I'm driving along on the southwest corner of Third and Oak, somewhere in there, there's a fence going up that we did not provide a permit for. American Planning Association defines definition: a fence is a freestanding structure designed to restrict or prevent movement across a boundary, which goes back to 6.2, no wall structure or building, which means you got to have a permit to put up a fence, or 2, enlarge or alter said fence. Also on Fourth and Maple on the northeast corner, there's a brand new privacy fence put up with no permit, which also actually gets into the right of way. Just that much, but so I got to looking into the right of way. I can't find any restrictions on building of the right of way in our town code books. I looked pretty hard for that. And on political signs, I'd like to clear the air. This all ties up in a big permit deal, but this is from Julie Freese, Wyoming Statute 22-25-115. Subject to the approval of the landowner and any rules and regulations adopted by the municipality, campaign materials may be placed on the municipal streets right of way. So nowhere in that book, if anybody knows where it's at, please point it out, because I looked for it for 2 days. Nowhere in the town code is it against the rules to put a campaign sign in the right of way, and it's not against state statute if the town allows it. So let's get that out of the way. There's on Mike's yard, he's got rocks and trees and stuff right there on the right of way. If you look down the surveyor stake, looks awesome. And it is not, I can't find a thing against it in the code. But that all ties into building permits. Structures hereafter erected without a permit or nonconformity shall be removed. What I am asking is if you're building or plan to build, or even if it's been overlooked, but now you're like, oh no, I forgot to get a permit, please just apply for a permit. We have denied no permits since I've been here. And unless there's something in this book that says it can't have happened, we ain't gonna deny a permit. So I'm just asking people, rather than getting citations, having to take it down as prescribed by the town ordinances, just apply for the permit so we can pass it, and it's a thing of the past. That's all I had.
I'm thinking that one on Fourth and Maple, there was a permit,
Was
but
that?
it was before us. Our term, my term, I guess. If it's the same one I'm thinking of.
Well,
But I'm,
well, and I'm not proposing any action other than a pleading to people who are building to just get caught up on the paperwork and make it
right,
water. It's a $10 permit that's going to get
Mhm.
approved.
right.
So let's just do it by the book is all I'm asking.
I agree.
And if there were permits from before, because as I don't believe I haven't found where there's any expiration permit time, which we discussed in June, I think, or May, when we're doing but there's no expiration date. And I think that's something that should be amended. I mean, a long time, because we all work and try to build too, but.
Well, I'm looking at the person next to me. They started that house on Elm.
Oh, yeah,
And it's still where it's been for 4 years.
yeah.
So there may be permits that I'm unaware of. That's why I'm not even proposing
why I thought
anything
of that
other
one.
than if you don't have
I
one,
think
please
the
get
he's
one.
talking about is, Bindy's, isn't it? And she had, I think she did get a permit.
Well, then,
I'm thinking I was at that meeting when she got it. That's why.
well, it wasn't posted either. That's on the permit. You have to post it during construction.
That's true. It's got to be posted, yeah.
Right.
Right.
So, and I'm not saying whether they was or wasn't. I don't know of one. And if there isn't one, I'm just asking people to get them.
Oh, I agree.
Follow
I-
the code book, or if we don't like it, we need to change it. But as it's here, we need to follow it.
Exactly.
That's all I
Good
had.
point. Thank you, Jake.
The audience have anything for the betterment of the community? Pat? please speak up.
I heard you mention a while ago, Mr. Mayor, about moving the library, cop shop and all that. So
Yeah, go ahead.
has that transpired, that's
No,
swapping
no,
property?
no, it hasn't. Looking at options.
Okay.
Yep, just looking at options.
Okay, another thing that I've heard people mention to me is, and I think, well, anyway, I heard it here too, that the town's interested in a couple of properties down here on the main drag, Lip Rippers and the old motel and
Yeah,
whatever.
that was in our last meeting.
Okay, yeah. And there was a little scuttlebutt before that last meeting about the town buying that property.
And we
At
discussed
any
it
rate,
previous to that as well.
at any rate, you had mentioned is putting in low income housing.
That'd be an option, yes.
Okay. I don't really know how to phrase this other than shoot from what I've heard.
Okay,
And what I've heard was people are opposed to the low income housing.
I don't think it's a good idea.
low to medium income. Low to medium income. If someone wants to work at Fast Lane or wherever, maybe there'd be income guidelines, stuff like that, that might be
Well,
might be not a bad thing.
I think what people are worried about.
I know what you're trying to say. I'm glad you're doing it.
It's riffraff, I guess,
Mhm.
as I've heard over the years. Of people of that nature moving in and kind of problems we're having right now.
Mhm.
I've heard the same thing about people in trailer houses.
Well.
But Joe, we don't have anything to offer people that are on welfare. We don't have a store. We don't have,
Who has said anything about welfare?
well, if you just call it low income, you're gonna get people on. Have you ever been to the low income apartments in Riverton? Those blue apartments down on, going out to Riverview, I don't know what street they call it now.
And Broadway and Monroe.
Is that where they're at?
But anyway, people are concerned that it'll bring in that type of people.
What about someone that wants to work in Fast Lane?
How many are we gonna, Gasoline gonna hire?
They said six to eight.
And we do need housing.
So we need some affordable housing.
Affordable housing,
Yes.
but not necessarily low income, like welfare housing.
Please.
I think there's a little bit of a misnomer with low and medium income housing. There's just metrics that allow that the housing is intended for those, not that welfare is subsidizing or paying for it, is to prevent a house from being priced out where someone can't afford it. And if you're making $12 an hour, you're not going to be able to afford $1,000 a month rent. So just because you're making $12 an hour does not mean you're necessarily a riffraff.
That's true.
But,
That is true.
and we've also had employees that didn't take pay raises just so they could remain on welfare. So that, again, I think is highly disingenuous and insulting to people that don't have the means and abilities to be able to say that just because we have this, that therefore they are going to incite and be a problem. But I think that the idea of medium to low income housing is just to ensure that it's more of a smaller types of housing that is not going to be as expensive as if we were to build a full house or develop an entire house from scratch. That's more the idea, is it's more just a smaller unit, not that it's price controlled per se. It's not, it's That's more just where it's so people can have jobs here because their rate of pay is not gonna be $20 or $30 an hour for a lot of these jobs. And so
That's like $8.50 to start out.
something like that. And so but it also would have some control because you're not gonna have 4 people living in one house just so they can afford to pay it.
But
That's-
how big a housing are you thinking about when you take those buildings down? Is it big apartments or is it duplex? What is it?
Where we're maybe looking at duplexes, that's one of the things to look at. We already have some duplexes in town. I don't know, there's, but it's not everybody can afford to build a house, but we've had employees working for the city of Shoshoni that would qualify for some Medicaid help and stuff like that. And I don't think they're riffraff. They need housing, but they can't afford an expensive house. I mean,
Are you talking renting these out or letting them buy?
actually, there's a couple different programs. There's some where they can rent it for a period of time, and then it's through WCDA where they can actually buy the homes, and there's assistance that's provided for them to become homeowners through their program, and assistance that's directly from WCDA. The other avenue is a developer would actually develop it with tax grants and tax incentives, and so it lowers their overall exposure of cost for the property. And that way, their agreement is that they only charge a certain amount of rent for those tax write-offs. So that's how they're able to charge less of a rent per se. So it's not necessarily welfare in regards or rent controls. It's just that they agree to have a metric of a rent based on the actual income of the tenants. So versus maybe you might be paying $900 a month for a renter if you own the property. In this case, you would go off their income and maybe charge them $700. So they're still paying a significant amount, but something that's more attainable for what they actually earn.
we're going to try to get a cafe in here, maybe a fast food place, something like that. We have people that are gonna, if we want them to live in town, they gotta have housing they can afford. And that's what we're pointing it towards.
But
Same thing, the restaurant, I've been told by more than one person, we ain't gonna get a restaurant because we can't staff it.
that's why you can't staff.
Fast lane is shorthanded, they can't. We need housing,
We do, and I agree with that,
and that's what we're looking at.
but not welfare housing. that
Never said that. We never said that. Never intended to be that. We're looking
That's
for,
the
we're
rule
looking
all
for,
over town.
well,
Not in
people
Shoshone.
start all sorts of rumors all over town
And the
about
other
all
rumor
sorts
is
of
we're gonna
crap.
get all new sidewalks, because you got a grant for that.
Good, then you all can shovel wood next to me this winter.
But I'm glad you brought this up and aired it out. Give us a chance
Yeah,
to
thank
better
you.
to explain. That's what we're looking at.
Jackson is an example of low income housing. They have it for police department, hospital employees, school teachers. Because the median price in Jackson is so far out of the range of those employees, public employees, for the highway department, they cannot afford a house. So they use, quote, the term low income housing for someone who may make $50,000 a year as a coach and teacher and everything else.
It is a valid point, yeah.
Yeah, so,
They have to, for a restaurant there, most of them have their own housing for the people that they hire, because they can't live in Jackson.
so that's the idea of this concept. We're looking at people whose income could be average, slightly lower than average, but because of dependence, because of other circumstances, medical bills, whatever, they do not qualify for the, quote, you can go out and buy this house at this price. So the low income allows them to look at renting and at, as Chris said, further to buy a house. It opens that type of door for those people. So so low income housing is not my favorite term. It is.
Affordable housing.
Yeah, that's.
Affordable, yeah. that's a better
Affordable
word.
housing.
Did I explain any better?
Yes, because the people that was talked to me was worried about,
The riffraff. Yeah.
yeah,
And I agree 100%. I mean,
so,
Yeah, we feel the same way. We don't want all of that.
you know, that's,
That's the
That brings
goal. That's what we're
problems.
trying to do.
Yeah.
well, yeah.
If you look at, at the school, how many actual employees from the school district live within town limits?
We do need housing and we need good
Okay.
housing, but we don't need big apartment buildings full of, you know,
Yeah,
drug addicts and drunks. Yeah.
so
That wasn't what we were talking about.
that is not our goal.
Thanks for not
But it can
including me.
happen,
So-
even though you don't intend it to.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
it can be if you're not careful.
I would,
It's got to be done right, that's for dang
So
sure.
where we're at
Mhm.
is that we applied for a grant to purchase properties and have them demoed and cleared. That's where we're at.
Well,
For the,
but at the same token, the words low-income housing has come out in this process that you're talking about.
right, low to middle.
I think it's fair, so I'll cite my family has mobile home parks in Utah. That's what I was supposed to grow up and be, not a garbage man. I was supposed to manage. Anyway, we have one park left that's 45 units. I can tell you that the price, whatever you call it, low income, medium income, whatever that price is, it generates a certain clientele that is affordable. So you have the scheme of I'm retired and I'm on this fixed budget of $600 a month, and you have the I work at the gas station for $6 an hour, but it's what it draws to it. What we have learned in our industry is the size of the unit will definitely dictate to who's going to come. So if you have a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, you're going to have 3 people, maybe 4 people. If you have the 4-bedroom, 2 bath. And so that's where I can see, depending on how you can make that work. Because that being said, when you think about people that migrate to Wyoming, they come with the expectation of, that's why most people that work at the school don't live in town limits for what I would say for a reason. They go elsewhere because they need a bigger home or more space, or they have means to afford more. So I would say the same thing. If the housing becomes, quote, very affordable, it's still going to have that potential of I make $10 an hour and I have bad habits and I qualify for that. The same token, it might be the vet or somebody who is on disability that equally qualifies. And that's so in our industry in Utah, so we have a very thorough screening process. That's ultimately what we do. We background checks and things. So it's being fair to everybody to help try and keep the drugs and crap out of it and not discriminate from what could be great tenants.
well, and that's there's another mechanism involved in this is just like the senior housing, there's other mechanisms where the town would actually have control and dictate who does occupy these residents. And it wouldn't be just up to a developer or a landowner that says and rents it out to whoever. They're just like the senior, there's multiple different ways, but the first step in this process is getting that removed through the grant. And then there'd be another public hearing, and then it'd be up to the council to decide which avenue they want to explore to facilitate the housing. And drug use and drug dealers and things like that, the middle class by far has more people involved in that than poor people. Poor people just get a bad rap because they're the ones that can't afford to hide behind it. So I think there's a lot more to it than just assuming that because they're poor that they're going to be more high propensity to be involved in that. Obviously, they're more front and center, but I can tell you there's a lot more people that go functional alcoholics and drug users that work in the middle class than you would realize.
Is there more crime and theft though in low-income areas?
Typically, yeah. I mean, if you make enough money, you don't steal stuff usually. But I'm talking about the drug aspect of things. I mean, it's just kind of getting way off in the weeds. The idea is just to have housing for everybody that's accessible. And I think using the term low income and medium income, especially low income, just kind of derives that negative connotation that take projects like in Denver with low income housing and big buildings where they're just riddled with crime.
But
And that's where I think,
the thing that worries me is getting like a big apartment building and stocking it with people from out of town.
I wouldn't vote for one, I can tell you that
No.
much.
My son built a little duplex down here on the highway, and I don't think it's ever been not rented since he built it. And Tim Thompson has those duplexes, and they're rented all the time. And we need housing, but we don't need a mess.
Well, that was our goal. That's what we've been pushing for.
Actually, the senior housing is low income housing.
Yeah, I wasn't even gonna go there, but yeah, it's real low.
I was.
And we have even a lot of out of town people that's moved in there with not
From
much
Out
money.
of state has moved in.
Yeah,
But it's not senior housing, it's low income housing. And it, mostly seniors live in it, or handicapped people, which is great. At one time when Ted was still here, he wanted to put a prison out on the hill where Mike's business is. And oh my God, did that cause a stir? Well, we don't want those kind of people in town. They'd be in prison. They wouldn't be in your town necessarily, but we would have none of that. And he had worked on it. I think, Fort Guernsey, who got it? I don't know. At that time. I know you're an idiot though.
She said I had people running across from the mushroom farm by my house to go out to Sandy Pike's house and hide under her trailer. No, I wasn't crazy.
we have any further discussion?
I got one more on the low-income housing. How much low-income housing do we have in town? I mean, there's quite a bit too, though, already, isn't there? I mean, I'm not saying I'm not against this, I'm not saying I'm for it, I'm just asking that question.
Well, I can tell you that Fastlane can't hire enough people to work.
But they got people here that don't want to work.
Well, I'm saying,
Shoshone's
We-
really worked well.
I have job openings for $20 to $25 an hour. I can't get the phone to ring.
How?
$25 an hour that we pay majority of our people. Now, people that come to us that aren't qualified, it's a whole different story, but we have ads to the internet, we have ads to workforce services.
There's not.
And in our business alone, this is Hopper Metals, not the garbage company. We took on a project now that had a 3-month deadline going to Elko, Nevada. They found us in the middle of Podunk, Wyoming, and I said, we can do this. And our quote was less than companies all around Elko. And we are struggling to figure out how we're going to do it. With the crew we have, we know we can do it. It'll be some long nights, but we cannot get people. Just a perspective on, and I know we're one of the highest paying employers in this town, and the phone does not ring.
but not in Elko, Nevada.
But we beat out a company in Salt Lake City. As far as the bids.
Sure, I did some jobs, looked at some jobs in Nevada, and then $25 an hour was, we was having to pay George $40 an hour, and that was over 10 years ago on an environmental job.
So I would say when people talk about Fastlane can't get people at $8 an hour, I can't get people at $25 an hour.
And we need housing. Just the park going in and these new signs you guys are talking about just makes this place look so much better than it has for years. Just that much of an improvement shows.
What we find is anytime we get calls that are outside of Fremont County, the people that I would say are somewhat serious, they will look and they ask those questions. Do you have restaurants? Do you have a grocery? I mean, they ask anything. I say, we have a gas station. Well, what else? I say, we have a gas station in our town. Oh, well.
We have a park now, Mike.
We have a park. And they say, where are we going to do a laundry if we move to our camp trailer? Where are we going to eat food? How far do we have to go with grocery?
Sure.
Just these things that are just.
That is, people do consider that before they'll even move.
And gotta have some affordable housing.
Which
We
I,
do.
Go to work.
And we You guys are working on getting different things started, and I know poor Buddy's getting worked to death, but
Good
it's
for him.
looking better, you guys. Doing a good job.
Buddy's already gone home. I'm still here.
And we'll do a good job on the
And
housing.
you,
I'm
not
thinking-
only did he slip out, but he slipped out too fast because you assigned him some more stuff after he left.
That'll teach him.
So like on the low to middle income housing, what, if we get approved for all this grant action, I thought the whole vision was a lot closer to like the senior center or not senior center, the senior housing or like Thompson's duplex, but
Right.
which are supplemented through the grants and all that so that it would be more
That's
affordable
what we were
rather than a
talking
big
about.
gigantic.
Well, Jeff is
Drug
looking for
house.
projects right now, and he would come over here and build if he thought, you know,
But if we-
he likes to build houses. And he said he would love to come over here and build a house, you know, a couple more duplexes or stuff, but he didn't know if he was gonna be able to keep them rented.
Seems like.
I think you would lose the word low income.
He's about to kill him.
Affordable
I mean,
sounds a lot better, doesn't
Affordable
it?
housing.
Yeah.
Yeah, for you rich people.
And
Yeah,
they're
right.
great big apartments, just like duplexes, they're small apartments, you know, like the senior
think-
center.
That's what senior housing.
housing.
I say I messed you up already. That's what I was envisioning when
That's
this whole
what we
process
were
started.
envisioning.
Regardless of what you call it, like something like Thompson's duplexes or the
Mhm.
senior housing, something like that, that's very tightly controlled.
No, and nice. It's, they're, you know, those are pleasant to look at.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, it doesn't look like it would be low income.
And just remember the other thing too is when you're talking about a pathway to home ownership, that is a lot different than a renter. When you are building, you're bringing in people that their aspirations are to own their own home. They take a lot. It's a different type of person that goes through that process that feels more vested and they have a skin in the game. And that's the pathway that the WCDA and that we're trying to go towards is to encourage the acquisition and home ownership aspect of things, not just being a low income renter and just being a transient here for 6 months, tear everything up and then take off to the next town and leave it a wreck.
We've watched them build habitats for humanity, how many houses in town, and
Yeah.
they don't live in them a year.
Yeah,
or
they're
two
out of
at
them.
the most.
Yeah, both of those were bad.
And so that's kind of the direction with WCDA is finding the low min to rise them above and help them.
And
through that program.
WCDA has some developers that they've worked with on stuff, on this, projects like this also.
But it's just like Mary Lou said, that they're Fremont County people, contractors that would love to work on stuff like this. And you said that this outfit has developers that come in, so they're gonna bring all their own people in.
No, they have throughout the state, there's developers that have done projects with them, but any developer is open to doing the project. They just have to put in directly through WCDA and just fill out the paperwork. So they don't choose who does it. The town actually selects them. Right. So they're not dictating who we use or who the town uses. They just have a list of ones that to help get us started or do reference points. There's one that's a nonprofit that will help walk us through the process and get another developer
Right.
to go how to fill out the paperwork and get all the stuff done through WCA to get the tax credits and tax incentives to give them that ability. So it's still all through the town council has all the control. And the public hearings, because they all require public hearings.
Well, any other way we can screw it up tonight?
No, that works. I'm glad you did. I'm glad you brought it up. Get some clarification. I had no idea, because I didn't what we talked about and had in mind.
Well,
Maybe we didn't explain it very well.
I think it was the wording.
well.
It's the wording.
It's the
And that
wording.
word's
Yeah.
been around for 100 years, and you see over the 100 years what that does. like you said, the people working for Fast Lane School District, town of Shoshoni, that puts a whole different light on what's been pictured.
Okay, yeah, that's been our intention from the get-go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're looking for.
I Googled it just for fun. It said in 2018, the national middle income range was 48,500 to 145,500 annually in household for a household of three, and lower income was less than 48,000.
I'm just saying, when I was in the military, I was eligible for food stamps, subsidized housing, and I didn't pay federal taxes because I didn't make enough money. And I was serving in the military, so
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't.
A family of three making $48,000 is eligible.
They're done last.
Yeah.
Still do.
Move we adjourn.
Nice second.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? And we adjourn? None being, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Meeting closed.